Then you look at the rest of the top. No one forgets Tom Brady. No one forgets Aaron Donald. No one forgets Aaron Rodgers. Cooper Kupp was right there at the peak of, ooh, this guy right here. This guy is nice. We're gonna really highlight how maybe he's the best receiver in football right now. Jonathan Taylor, best running back in football by a lot, probably. Less competition there than amongst the other quarterbacks. T.J. Watt, best edge rusher in football right now. Certainly, if you're doing this around Pro Bowl voting times. Oh, bleep, Patrick Mahomes and Devontae Adams. Oh, God, I'm already at 7 and 8. Guess I better find a spot for the two of them. But in both of those instances, Devontae Adams wasn't the biggest star in his own offense. Patrick Mahomes was having a season where the most popularized storyline around him was he's actually, he's dragging his feet a little bit. He's got to figure some stuff out. This is a rough run for Patrick Mahomes.
He has been solved. He's been figured out. The Patrick Mahomes riddle was finally, it's clicked.
Has the league figured out Patrick Mahomes?
So the defenses have caught up to the Chiefs' offense and Patrick Mahomes. I think there was a shred of that. Like, I do think there was an element of those things that are going on. But what is also ignored is, and one of the things that I pointed out a lot of times so far, is what took place at the end of the season that is being lumped in with the entire season as if the whole season was one big, long struggle and not the beginning of the season, Mahomes being Mahomes, and the end of the season, Mahomes being Mahomes, and a 6 or 7 game stretch in the middle that it was just like head-scratching, what in the heck is going on, trying to figure out, the defenses and things like that, and then ultimately getting back to playing the way that they did. And the worst season for Mahomes, the awful, no good, terrible, bad year for Patrick Mahomes. He was 4th in the NFL in yards, 4th in the NFL in touchdowns, and 5th in the NFL in QBR. That's his worst year. He was top 5 in those categories. That kind of goes to the greatness of Mahomes, and that's where everybody is saying Mahomes is toast. He is done. He's only a top 5 quarterback in the NFL now.
There was a tweet here from Patrick Brennan. He covered the Royals here for a little bit for a couple of the great Royals sites. Had him on an old Sports Saturday or Sunday, I think, back in the day. He works for the Phillies now. But he tweeted this out earlier in the month. Reminder that the gap between first and second on the career EPA per play leaderboard, which is Patrick Mahomes to Peyton Manning. That is first Mahomes to second Manning on the career EPA per play leaderboard, is roughly equal to the gap between Manning at second and Phillip Rivers at 6th.
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes has put the difference between Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers between himself and Peyton Manning on this one particular pretty good all-encompassing metric. As far as one all-encompassing metric's going to get you,
I like
EPA per play is a fun one.
Yeah.
And this is, again, and this goes back, we were talking about this with Tyreek Hill and all, and then Warren Sharp had, some of the things there as well of what Patrick Mahomes has done over the course of his career. But for me, it goes back to something we talked about that day. People get bored. Tom Brady where was he last year? When he went on to, I can't remember what the Buccaneers did in that Super Bowl the year before.
Tell you where Tom Brady was last year.
He was 7th. Tom Brady was 7th last year. The voting would have happened before, but this was while he was on the path to playing some AFC team and winning a Super Bowl. Again, the details of that are fuzzy, and I'm going to just go ahead and gloss over it. But Tom Brady was 1 when they voted last year because, oh bleep, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. Tom Brady is still Tom bleepin' Brady in a Pro Bowl caliber, an MVP caliber season. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
He's got to be the best in football. So you put Tom Brady at 1 because Patrick Mahomes wasn't in the last. Well, I guess he wouldn't be in that Super Bowl, but we didn't know that at that time probably as these players were voting. Mahomes had lost a Super Bowl, gasp, and then had a bit of a struggle over the regular season that people were talking about a lot. It's a vibes award, and Tom Brady had the best vibes in football last year. There's my theory.
Let's hear from Dan Graziano real quick. He weighed in this morning, did Dan Graziano from ESPN. Kind of the theme that we saw last night with a lot of people nationally saying this, and we have talked about it all offseason so far leading into this year. Here's Dan Graziano touching on what was the most popular takeaway with Mahomes number 8.
Mahomes at 8 is interesting. Like, he's got Tyreek Hill in Miami talking about Tua's more accurate, right? He's got, like, Sammy Watkins talking about Aaron Rodgers. Like, I feel like Mahomes is kind of like out for some kind of revenge tour, right? Like, all these people want to talk bad about me. You want to rank me 8. All right, all right. We'll see how it shakes out. I think people are giving Patrick a lot of bulletin board material.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme of the offseason. Does he count to 8? At any point this year? Does Patrick Mahomes do that? Like he counted to 4 against the Ravens when Lamar was number 1 and he was number 4. He counted to 10 against the Bears. Does he count to 8 at some point this year?
Beards has the power to make this a thing.
Okay.
8.
Now, I would explain this if I was Beards.
8.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
But Beards has elected not to explain this,
I'm fine with that too.
which I think is also okay.
8.
So what we're thinking we do here is we just pop this down a little bit farther, Beards.
Okay.
A little higher. We just loop this for the next 3 hours and
Is that
34
right?
minutes.
Is that what we do?
We
Even
talk
if we're
over
talking
it.
Royals?
Yeah.
What
We
about
keep-
during the press conferences?
It's important for people to remember. This
Okay.
is, see right here, I recently learned how like the it's disorienting how the radio book system has worked traditionally.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is basically the same mindset here. It is hard to think and talk and hear 8 at the same time.
Really?
This is
You don't
subliminal
have,
messaging.
You don't have kids yet.
I know, I sure don't.
You don't have
this
kids
is
yet.
this
I'll
is
do the-
subliminal messaging
you can
right
have,
here.
You can have 8 turned all the way up, and I'll have a whole conversation for the next 3.5 hours without even acknowledging the number 8 going on.
8.
You'll have kids one day, and that will be a skill that will be developed over time that other people in the room that don't have kids yet are like, hey, dude, your son has said your name 100 times. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. What do you need, bud? Yeah, no, that's fine. And then you go back to doing what you're doing.
8.
See? No, I didn't even hear it
8.
there.
8.
This does explain how you've been so good at ignoring me so far.
Well, next time don't sound like a child.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. In the Zone.
Take care of y'all bodies, you know what I mean? Go take care of y'all chicken. You feel me? Go take care of y'all mentals.
With Jason Anderson.
You start taking care of y'all mentals, y'all bodies, and y'all chicken, and you be able to do what you want to do.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Say, blast from the past name, Laquan Treadwell, has been released by the Jaguars. First-round draft pick to the Vikings. Now will be working on his third team when somebody picks him up. So, yeah. Sometimes, if you're the Vikings, you get Justin Jefferson. Sometimes you get Laquan Treadwell. You know? Sometimes you get Jonathan Baldwin. Sometimes you get Tyreek Hill.
More often than not, you get Jonathan Baldwin.
Sometimes you get, can't remember the tight end that they drafted back in the late 2000s. Sometimes you get Travis Kelce.
Sometimes you get Tony Moeaki. Sometimes you get Travis Kelce.
That's right.
Tony Moeaki, I'm not willing to put in that category. If he would have been healthy, I still firmly believe he would have been excellent.
But who was the tight end that was drafted with some of the picks that they got for Jared Allen? One of the picks or whatever for Jared Allen. There was a tight end that was drafted, and I can't remember, and I should remember, because we actually said it like 2 weeks ago when we were talking with Todd LeBeau. Todd would know. He's walking around the hallway right now, but I bet you find out as well.
James O'Shaughnessy?
Nope.
That was more recent than that. Boy, I love old Chiefs tight ends that they drafted.
Not Jimmy O.
That was too soon, too recent.
Jimmy O. Show. It was not Jimmy O. Show.
And then Tony Moeaki in 2010.
It was before that.
Jake O'Connell was a late-round pick in 2009.
Nope. Before
Mike Merritt was the final pick behind Brad Cottam.
Cottam.
Brad Cottam in 2009. There it is.
Sometimes you get Brad Cottam. Sometimes you get Travis Kelce. What round was Brad
Third-round
Cottam?
picks for both of them.
There you go. So
Tony Moeaki as well. So you got across 4 years here, I think. You got Brad Cottam in the third round in 2008. Tony Moeaki in the third round in 2010. And then 2 years later, 3 years later,
yeah.
you get Travis Kelce in the third round in 2013.
you know what? Defensive lineman, defensive end, defensive lineman, whatever it might be. Sometimes in the second round you get Breland Speaks. Sometimes you get Chris Jones.
Boy, I love the trip down memory lane of just old Chiefs draft picks, where you can say things like, "Remember Crefonzo Thorpe."
I remember Creponzo.
I tried not to. I really tried to hit
Poor guy.
and the PH there on his behalf.
Poor guy. That's PHAT.
That's right.
That's PHAD. He was bad. He was so bad.
Colby Smith. It's Justin Medlock in the fifth round.
You know what I love
they
about
took a kicker in the fifth round in 2007.
Who did they take him right in front of?
Medlock.
Gosh, Medlock. There was a kicker that kicked at Colorado, and I believe he's still kicking for like the Packers or something. Something like, and he also plays for the Penguins in the NHL as well. He's Sid the Kid, right?
How far did he?
He was like 5 picks later.
I just learned something that I didn't know about this draft. So Mason Crosby didn't go till the 6th round.
Oh, really? Was it that much later?
They could have taken Mason Crosby significantly later. Do you know who went 178 also in the 6th round? It would be crazy for you to know this without context.
What year was that?
Same year. 2007. Nick Folk.
No kidding.
Nick Folk and Mason Crosby both went after Justin Medlock.
I remember that draft. We were at Arrowhead Stadium covering the draft, and I can't remember who said it. Heck, it might have been Seren that said it. That was like, hey, give you $10 if they draft Mason Crosby here.
Ugh.
And I was like, no, I'm not betting, because why would you specifically say that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And then they drafted Justin Medlock, and I was like, well, I mean, I would have won. How did you go? He was like, I was told they were taking a kicker here. I thought for sure it would be Mason Crosby. So it may not have been Seren. I can't remember who it was, but I remember there was a bet that I would have won, but I was too afraid to do it because I was like, it's very specific.
That intel was too close to
Why
the
would
source.
you say they're gonna take this position? No, they're gonna draft this player in like what, the 4th round, whatever it was?
Ended up being the 6th.
Was it the 6th
or
round?
he was.
You sure?
I love that we're relating.
Felt like
on
it
this.
was a 1st round draft pick. Medlock.
Folk and Crosby went in the 6th. Medlock went in the 5th.
In the 5th round. Okay, so over the years, in 10 years, Medlock will be a 1st round draft pick in my mind. So it was a 4th rounder.
He'll just keep climbing.
Yep. But around that time, it was like, hey, bet you $5 that it's going to be Mason Crosby. I'm like, no, I'm not going to bet. That's very, very, very specific.
It's too specific.
And I would have
shoots
won.
Red flag
I would have
there.
won because they
had
didn't have the name, they had the position, but it just assumed that the first kicker would be Mason Crosby. But Justin Medlock won that kicking competition against Crosby when there was nobody rushing, there was nobody snapping, and they just put it on a tee. He did win that, so that's cool. When he went to UCLA, that's right.
This was on your show sheet, so I do want to go ahead and mention this.
Yep, let's get it.
Just the Chiefs' 2008 NFL draft class is so wild for a whole variety of levels. So first, you have Glenn Dorsey, who goes 5, who has a fun NFL career, but wasn't a 5th overall pick type of impact player. You have Brandon Albert, who they get at 15. They're picking 5 and 15 that year.
Better player for the Chiefs, more than Glenn Dorsey. Better career.
Really, a really solid career overall. Brandon Flowers goes in the 2nd round as their 3rd pick.
Loved Brandon Flowers.
Tremendous player.
There's got to be another Brandon in there right after.
Well, it's a few picks farther because they don't want to skip over the next guy they selected about 40 picks later, Jamal Charles.
JC.
Wouldn't have been a better pick if it had been Jesus Christ himself. The best JC to ever carry a football, I assume. Brad Cottom goes after that. 3 picks later, they take Brad Cottom. Then DeJuan Morgan, remember him? I had a rookie card of his for some reason.
Good for you.
Wide receiver Will Franklin, who I don't know that ever. I'm not sure he appeared in games for the Chiefs. 7 receptions in his career.
From?
That's the MIZ.
Okay, I didn't know.
MIZGONE very shortly thereafter.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Then Brandon Carr caught more passes in his NFL career than Will Franklin did by triple. 21 career interceptions for Brandon Carr. And then remember Barry Richardson, Kevin Robinson, Brian Johnson, or Mike Merritt? Those were your 6th and 7th round picks. But,
Interesting.
Flowers, Carr, Jamal Charles, all after Glenn Dorsey and Brandon Albert. It's just a bonkers draft class.
Not too bad. So the Colby Smith name is a blast from the past for a specific reason, and that is one of the things I always go back to when it comes to, well, the coach is doing this or the coach is doing, they know more than you do. The coach is smarter than you are, so why don't you just take their word for it? Okay. They're clearly seeing something in practice that you're not seeing. So that's why I love Colby Smith, because Todd Haley was the head coach. Jamal Charles was averaging 8 yards per touch. And the thought was, yeah, but he can't last throughout a season. When Larry Johnson talked his way out of town and then got hurt, whatever it was, and they needed a starting running back, they went with Colby Smith to play running back over Jamal Charles until Colby Smith got injured. And then they didn't have a choice but to play Jamal Charles. And then he was Jamal Charles. So sometimes the coaches aren't as smart as they, and certainly that's Todd Haley, as opposed to, like an Andy Reid or some other coaches that you might defer to, right? That's one of them where it's like, well, the coach, something's going on in practice that you don't know about. That's why this is happening. Or maybe they just can't get out of their own head for whatever they believe, these preconceived notions about a particular running back, while the entire Chiefs fan base was saying, give the ball to Jamal Charles. Every time he touches the ball, it's like 7 or 8 yards. What are you doing?
I don't know that there, and I'm saying this is someone who has now watched Patrick Mahomes professionally in recent years.
Good for you.
Until Patrick Mahomes, I don't know that I've ever seen a football player jump off the screen or the field or whatever quite like Jamal Charles.
Every time he touched it, man.
I will always grab the steering wheel and rip us over and drive on the sidewalk if we need to talk about Jamal Charles every once in a while. He really was like watching an alien on a hoverboard learn how to play football.
It was so frustrating that he would touch the ball and it was like 7 or 8 yards. And then he'd go right back to the bench. And it'd be Larry Johnson for 2 or 3, Colby Smith for 1 or 2.
Jamal, we need a miracle. Oh, yep, sure
Jamal,
thing.
yeah.
Water wine.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamal. Now go have a seat.
3rd and 6 to a first down.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man.
Now go learn how to carry the ball throughout an entire season, because you're not going to be able to do that. You're too slender of build. You're not built like a Larry Johnson or a Colby Smith.
I really wasn't paying attention to the narrative at that point in my football watching career. So that's such an interesting thing for you to latch in on. Because if you think about where Charles's career was cut short, it wasn't because of his collarbone or his body break. His AC, it was knees. It was just knees. If he would have just had a stronger knee tendons, he might be running to this day.
If only.
Oh, That is the worst what if in football for me. But if you grew up watching Bo Jackson or whatever, I understand why it would not be Jamal Charles. But for me, Jamal Charles with bionic knees is the sports what if button that I'd probably hit, and I would probably do that even knowing that he would never catch a good pass from a good quarterback over the course of his career.
By the way, text that came in earlier.
Alex Smith late, I guess.
Yes, text that came in earlier in the show, just to continue or call back to what we were just talking about in the previous segment about having this talent that every parent has of being able to tune things out in the background. A lot of texts earlier in the show about the beeping of trucks that I didn't even hear until I read the text. We went to break and I read the text and I'm like, oh yeah, there are some trucks. How long has that been going on? Well, apparently since 10:08.
Yeah.
We opened up the door in here because we wanted to get a little fresher around here, and it's nice outside.
Yeah.
And then a truck started beeping. So then text started coming in. Didn't read the text until later on in that segment, and then of course I then hear the text.
If you wanted
hear the beeping.
If you wanted us to successfully keep doing the show today, that was a necessary evil. Because the Border Patrol had some incredible hot wings in here this morning.
Oh yeah, they were
fantastic.
Yes,
they smelled incredible. But now this, Jason, I'm going to actually just, if you don't mind, I'm going to look away from you and just stare at Beards for no particular reason. Not that he ever does this in a small enclosed room on a regular basis.
Great.
But there is very little in this world crueler than smelling residual chicken wings while never being able to enjoy them for yourself, Beards, or anyone else listening, not just Beards who goes to the peanut and then brings it into the office and then eats it and then throws it away in the trash can in the office.
I don't throw it away in the trash can in the office. I'm better than that.
It's buffalo sauce. It seeps into the walls.
It does.
So there's
no getting around that.
There's none. So that's why we had to crack that door open, because for us to sit in here and smell chicken that doesn't exist anymore, we would have been like werewolves at the end. I would have been sitting in a puddle of my own saliva.
Yeah. So apparently there was a truck beeping the entire first segment that I didn't hear until we went to break because I was reading the text and I'm like, oh yeah, that is going on. I just simply tuned it out like ambiance. I do a lot of things.
It's just ambiance.
That's exactly
Doing
right.
the show live from a construction site right now.
Perfectly fine. We're building the show as we go along right now.
It's Kansas where we're at right now, or Kansas or Missouri for what we're covering right now, radius-wise of our beautiful signal here. It's late August. We're just celebrating the season. It's Fort season. It's not quite fall. It's still barely summer. It is really construction season right now in the greater Kansas City area. Celebrate it.
We will take a timeout and we'll wrap up. You good?
I'm good, man.
Okay, well,
did the cough button not work?
It did. It was just the ambiance in the background of that, sort of like the beeping trucks. Yes, or the number 8 that was being used. As we take a break.
A lot of ambient noise this episode.
This text comes in, and it's perfect because it's something that I wrote down and we didn't get to because we were talking about other randomness. That said the top 100 is just trolling. Why else would Josh Allen be 13th? That might be the best part of the entire top 100, that we can talk about Patrick Mahomes being number 8 all day long. But the best part of the entire top 100 is that Josh Allen cannot escape the number 13 that continues to chase him and haunt him. And he's you think he maybe was like 12th or 14th, and they were like, no, we got to make him 13th. Come on, man, this is too good. He's too close to 13 for us not to put him at number 13.
He was like 14th, and then Josh Allen himself was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm number 1.
That's
and
right.
that bumped him up from 14 to 13, and the curse continues.
That's right. There was a tweet that was sent out that changed the picture. The NFL put out the picture of Josh Allen number 13, and somebody put a colon right before the 13 just to make it 13 seconds. Pretty good. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up about 11:45 or so. Mick Shaffer joins us in the 1 o'clock hour. Learn funniest best, all still to come on a Monday edition of The Zone. It's Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, what'd you learn this weekend, Brisco?
Or in the beards as a bleep head.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, wrapping up this hour. You know, ESPN put out their top 100 as well, and Patrick Mahomes is number one. So that's good.
Easy peasy. Next list.
He was number one last year.
Was Josh Allen top 5?
Josh Allen came in at number 13.
That seems
No,
impossible.
he came in at number 5. But surprisingly, well, it's not surprising.
For fun,
actually.
Tom Brady was 20th on that list.
That's what it was. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. I'm like, where there was somebody I wrote down earlier, like, really? That he's number 1 in one list and number 20 in the other. Like, Justin Herbert is like, what, in the 30s or something with the NFL.com, and he's number 11 with ESPN. And again, they're talking ESPN specifically this year. The expectations of what these players will do this year. And then, of course, Mike Clay put out expectations in terms of numbers, projection numbers for the players, and we'll do some over-unders next week on the Chiefs, the OUs. The projection for Patrick Mahomes this year, he has 4,600 passing yards, 4,610 to be exact, passing yards, which, come on, that's going to go over. He had 4,800 last year in an awful year. 36 touchdowns, which, I mean, come on, he had 37 last year in an awful year. And 12 interceptions, which, come on, he had 13 last year in an awful year. Like, those have to be over, like, all of them. If he's healthy, I mean, yeah, give me 5,200 yards, 45 and 8. That's what I'm going with.
I really like this new critic voice you found. Sarcastically belittling Patrick Mahomes. How's he gonna be able to hit all those overs if he stinks at quarterback so bad? It's harder for Bears to take you out of context and put you in a liner that way.
That's true. And then Mike Clay for Travis Kelce, without Tyreek Hill, has 87 receptions. I'll take the over.
Yeah.
And 972 yards. I'll take the over.
He's so old.
More so.
And now, on Sports Radio 810 Sports Center.
Thinking about finishing your bachelor's degree? Take a bold step forward during a University of St. Mary virtual info session. Register for the September 7th event at stmary.edu/RSVP. Some local news first up here from Shams Charania. The Toronto Raptors are waiving forward Svi Mikhailuk. He's currently playing for Ukraine's national team at FIBA Eurobasket. He's seeking a fresh start elsewhere, according to Charania. Royals win last night 15-7. Home runs from both Michael A. Taylor and Salvador Perez. Nick Prado with 3 RBI as well. Jonathan Heasley gets the win. Tonight, it's Brady Singer versus Lucas Giolito as Singer continues to try to keep a hot start rolling. Hot whole season, really, rolling through this stage of his Royals career. On the other side of the break, we'll begin to move ever closer to Chiefs press conferences. This is what happens when you don't write out your entire Sports Center. More Zone next.
You're in the zone
Like, I didn't wake up this morning and say, I hope Nicole Hardman hurts a groin today.
with Jason Anderson
I hope Nicole Hardman hurts a groin today.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I'll take Nicole Hardman's groin. You putting that on your resume tape, Josh?
Svi Mikhailuk getting waived. Big news, Jason.
Yeah.
Big news.
Freshening up that tape just in case. Always want to keep that thing current. Is that going to the top of the list with the sports centers?
Well, look, if I'm not a pro craftsman blames his tools, but I could have found out about that Sports Center a little earlier, Beards.
I could have ad-libbed a sports center.
I
See how
it to
good
you. I have the timestamp.
I
if
know.
You want it.
Exactly.
What was the timestamp, Beards?
Let's look.
I know the timestamp in my mind at about 10:50 or not. 10:50 when you were told, "Hey, you'll have the sports center."
10:14. You replied, "Oh, cool."
I was getting the tickets for less ad first. I was getting that read set up.
Yeah,
and
so
then I was
much.
sorry, Beards. I was doing a radio show.
Oh yeah, just swamped over there. How could you possibly come up and write
just
out
so
a
we don't
sports
have
center?
this happen a little
Why don't
bit
you get us
later
an
here, Jason, you've got a DraftKings read at the end of this break.
No, I'm
just so you
typically
know.
ready for those.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
no,
ones
I
that
try to prepare.
somebody else writes for him.
I'm pretty sure that script is not the exact same every time.
Well, it's because you're
That's
speaking
ad-libbing.
You're speaking extemporaneously.
Ad-libbing is what you do there.
I'll try to be
what
better
you were
at that.
trying to do.
Try to be better at that.
Also, the Royals are off today. So other than that, you nailed it.
Oh God! God!
Usually I cut out the sports centers from the podcast. I think I'm leaving
No,
this one
you
in
gotta leave
today.
it in there.
Did I say tonight?
This
Yeah,
one I think
you
I'm
did.
leaving it in.
This says Tuesday.
It does say Tuesday right there. Today's Monday.
Yeah, today's Monday. Mm-hmm. That means I get to watch House of the Dragon tonight.
Yeah!
Could have watched that last night because today's Monday.
He
It
hasn't
comes
watched
out
the
on
first
Sunday.
episode yet, though.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I gotta catch up.
I haven't either. So next week is when I'll watch 3 in a row.
I've
so I said
committed
I'm
to-
going to try to wait for 3 and then, binge 3 of them to really get into it.
I've committed to watching them only when Renee's not home, so I don't have to try to bully her into caring about a Game of Thrones universe she never really got into. So tonight might be the night for that. As long as Brady Singer makes quick work of those pesky White Sox.
Tonight, yes.
Tonight.
Hopefully. I have a feeling that's going to be a very quick game.
Game starts at 7:10.
I have a feeling you will have a lot of time on your hands.
You need to be able to start this thing by 8, no later.
I think you'll be fine.
Make it quick, Brady.
Typically, he works pretty fast. So.
Let me go ahead, just real quick, Jason. If you would just mind giving me a quick second, I want to
Yeah, yep, go ahead.
go ahead and do a little make good.
Mm-hmm. You good?
September 7th, stmary.edu/RSVP. If you're thinking about finishing your bachelor's degree, take a bold step forward during a University of St. Mary virtual info session. That's September 7th at stmary.edu/RSVP.
Good job, man.
Thanks to our friends at St. Mary.
Good job. Good on you.
.edu/RSVP.
Good on you, guy. Good on you. 913-912-4810 is the text line.
Wish I could do a make good for the listener.
Let's talk a little college football here.
Oh, yeah.
Mizzou in action coming up on Thursday night.
I watched some college football this weekend.
Did you?
Gosh dang it, I sure did. There was football on my television screen. It felt nice.
And it was real football. It counted.
Well, it was Nebraska football. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But it counted.
Did count.
It actually turned out to be Northwestern football.
You wanna talk about not putting something on your resume, Scott Frost? Hello. Relevant humor.
I was so wrong on Scott Frost.
Really?
I thought he was going to go there and succeed, and he was going to be good. Not that Nebraska was going to start winning Big Ten championships, but it was going to be better than what it had been. That you got somebody that understands the culture, played there, and was a successful coach that built a fake national champion, but still had so many things and was recruiting, and it was going to be different now for Nebraska. And that has not been the case. Let's play the clip from Adam Rittenberg on the decision to onside kick against Northwestern. If you did not see it, they had taken a 28-17 lead. They were down 17-14 was Nebraska. They score. Northwestern then fumbles. They get the ball right back. They score again to go up 28-17, and then they attempt an onside kick. It was not recovered by Nebraska. Northwestern then goes down and scores, make it 28-24. They end up scoring another touchdown. They win 31-28. Here's Adam Rittenberg weighing in on that decision at that time in the game.
Just a complete lack of self-awareness. I understand wanting to be aggressive, as a coach, but you have to realize that you are a team that has botched these situations over and over and over. You're a team that has made special teams mistakes over and over and over to lose close games. I mean, his quote about, we could win the game at that point if we recovered, there was like 25 minutes left. But again, he's the common denominator, and that was just a decision, even if they'd recovered, that just didn't make any sense at the time because they had control. Defense was playing well. They capitalized on some of Northwestern's mistakes. And I just think, guys, it's coming down to this. Scott Frost played for a Nebraska program that didn't hurt itself, and now he's playing in a league where you have to win games by not beating yourself. And throughout his tenure, it's been the opposite. And that's why his tenure is probably going to end very soon.
Very soon is an interesting way. Like, this is year 5 for Scott Frost, which went by pretty darn quick. And we're already at year 5 for Scott Frost. And it was like, Scott Frost was going to be much better than Mike Riley. It was going to be back to the Bo Pelini, but somebody you like type run where Bo Pelini was winning 10 games. Even in the Big Ten, winning 10 games, 9 games. Mike Riley won 9 games one year in the Big Ten, but it was a 6-7. It was a 4-8 mixed in, and so that wasn't good enough. So you bring in Scott Frost, who's gone 4-8, 5-7, 3-5, 3-9, and then 13-point favorites over the weekend in Ireland, and they lose to Northwestern. I mean, see, people are going to look at the onside kick and then take a run at Scott Frost. And I understand what Adam Rittenberg is saying is that, well, this has been the issue, is that you have not taken advantage of situations like that. These are the situations that have always gone against you. You find ways to lose close games because of things like this. This is the problem with Nebraska, and why would you do that at that time? I think that's masking what took place in the second half.
Yeah.
After they took a 28-17 lead, yes, they attempted the onside kick. Had they recovered it, Scott Frost said they had they felt like at that point they could win the game had they recovered it because they scored, got a fumble, and scored. It was all in their favor. They're up by 11, feeling really good about that. And it didn't work out. They also could have stopped Northwestern from scoring a touchdown on a couple of plays. So that certainly is a possibility. But the bigger issue for Scott Frost is when you're talking about an offensive guy and the way Nebraska is supposed to look offensively, that after the attempted onside kick, they had 6 possessions. Now, they lost by 3, okay? And that onside kick touchdown for Northwestern still put Northwestern down 4. They were still leading by 4 at that point. They went 3 and out. They went 3 and out. They threw an interception. They punted, where the first play they got a first down on a penalty and then went 3 and out. They went 3 and out, and they threw an interception. Their last 6 possessions ended with 2 interceptions, and the other 4 got 1 first down total. They got 68 yards the rest of the game when there was 9 minutes to go in the third quarter after the onside kick. We can look at the onside kick attempt and be like, what a boneheaded play. But if he kicks it off, does the offense then change? Like, maybe they win 28-24 because Northwestern doesn't have a short field. So maybe if Northwestern has to go, 80 yards or 75 yards instead of 40-something yards that they had to go, maybe it's different. Maybe they only get a field goal there, and it's, 28-20, and then maybe they get a touchdown late in the game, and they don't get the 2-point conversion, so they win 28-26 and survive. But what changes offensively if they just simply kick off there? Because they gained 68 yards on 6 possessions. That's the issue for Scott Frost, is the way that they're playing doesn't look like what it was being sold as going to look like with Scott Frost.
I'm glad this is the game that we were able to export to Ireland, because one of college football's greatest exports, to your point, is blaming the head coach for going for a kill shot instead of the following handful of possessions that were absolutely, completely inept. Look, far be it from me to sit down here and tell you that Scott Frost is a good football coach right now. Obviously, it's hard to evaluate head coaches from afar. It's even harder to predict them before they actually begin being the helm of a program like this. All of that off to the side. Specifically zooming in on what you're talking about in this game. I like it whenever coaches say, you know what, there's something a little risky here. We think we can put this thing in the bag if we make it happen right now.
And even if we don't, we're still up 11.
That moment very rarely truly exists with 24 minutes of football left.
Absolutely.
So that would be my beef with the decision itself. And say, hey, even if you recover right here, and second thing, march down the field, and third thing, score a touchdown. If your 3-point plan here, coach, works out, this game is still not over. In fact, with the way they are playing offensively after that touchdown seems pretty unlikely, and them continuing to add points seems even more unlikely. But we all the time talk about how Brandon Staley wins a game or loses a game because of a 2-point call at the end, when even getting there is sort of the point. Or you can't make your game-winning call with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. But all of that to say, if they do recover that onside kick, then this discussion of Nebraska-ing doesn't begin there. It begins with the first punt, and then realizing that the offense never even got literally moving forward in any meaningful way the rest of the game. That is a much bigger, large-scale issue than one admittedly very questionable coaching call where I don't mind the energy. I do mind the application, though.
6 possessions after the onside kick. The 6 possessions yards gained 2, 8, 22, 15, 4, 17. That's what and turns out you only needed a field goal to even take that thing into overtime. If you take a couple of those possessions to get some field goals out of it, you end up winning the game. Let's hear from Adam Rittenberg again. And this is where, to me, not only has Scott Frost not succeeded there at Nebraska, but it is heading towards an ending that I would have argued there's a better than 0% chance of this happening, but it is very, very far-fetched to come up with an idea that in year 5, Scott Frost may not last the season.
I can't see Nebraska making a move like USC did on middle of September, but they play next week, guys. I mean, Northwestern's partying in Ireland still. They only did this because they get a bye week. Nebraska has to play a game this coming week, and then even the following week before Oklahoma comes in on September 17th. And so how they perform these next few weeks before that OU game is going to be important. And then obviously how they perform against their former rivals from the Big 12 and Big 8 is going to be even more significant. And then they get into Big 10 play. So, there's obviously still time. You can always turn things around after an opening loss. But I think their performance now going forward, and then ultimately that OU game on the 17th at home is going to be really significant because they outplayed Oklahoma for much of last year's game, but again, found ways to lose because that's been who they are. That is absolutely their identity under Scott Frost, and until you break that's going to ultimately doom his tenure there in Lincoln.
Let's just say that Nebraska had better be 2-1 when they get ready to face Oklahoma.
Kidding.
North Dakota this weekend, Georgia Southern the week after that, and then Oklahoma. If there is a chance that they are 1-2, and then in a scenario that they get beat pretty good by Oklahoma at home, it may be a September decision that's being made at Nebraska, much like USC did last year when Adam Rittenberg said, look, I don't think it's going to be a USC thing to where it happens in September, but they got to play this week. Northwestern's got a week off. As he said, they're partying in Ireland. They're hanging out another couple of days. Nebraska's getting right back on the plane heading home because they've got to get ready for North Dakota. They've got to get ready for Georgia Southern after that. And then, of course, Oklahoma comes up on September 17th. And if this team is 1-3, if they're 2-2, I think you could explain it away at bad start. Couple bad decisions, bad start, getting used to a new quarterback, yada, yada, yada.
Long road trip.
Oklahoma's a good team, top 10 team.
Had to fly all the way to the East Coast of Ireland.
That's right. And then you get back into Big Ten play. Do you turn it around at home against Indiana? You go to Rutgers, you'd better win that one. At Purdue, sort of up and down with Purdue. Home to Illinois, home to Minnesota. Like, there's some wins to be had along the way. But if they don't beat both North Dakota and Georgia Southern and don't make it a game at least against Oklahoma, Scott Frost may not be there to be coaching those games that are still left to be played and, available wins that are left for Nebraska. I'm just really, really surprised that it's gone this way. And maybe I shouldn't be because of what Nebraska's been in the Big Ten.
Well, I think you're getting something interesting there.
But they didn't get Mike Riley. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Mike Riley was a head-scratching decision because he wasn't all that successful at Oregon State. So you're bringing in Mike Riley. Why? Oh, because he's nice. Bo Pelini was an AH. He won, but he was an AH. Mike Riley's nice. At least, maybe you're going to enjoy the nice guy. Yeah, you're not. So let's go get somebody else. You know what? Scott Frost.
It is very, very, very difficult to predict coaching hires on any level, really, but I would say certainly on the college level. So whenever you say you like this hire at the time, you're, like you said, the head coach of the fake national title, if you will, but like a truly incredible story in college football.
Yeah, he went from 6-7 his first year to undefeated the next year. I mean,
incredible.
Yeah.
And anytime you get to do the bring him home thing, that's going to sell to your boosters. It's going to sell to your base every time. Hey, you know what it was like to be a champion here. Bring some of that champion Nebraska corn juice back into our veins and make it happen.
Juice?
I think it's a Stardew Valley.
Typically, with your juicer in the morning, is it corn juice?
That's what I just make corn juice in the morning.
What, orange juice or corn juice, honey?
That's exactly. I like to pour it on my cereal. It's just a very high carb experience. Totally. But that is a reasonable thing to buy into, and for it to ultimately not work, and to not just not work, but to have made Nebraska football synonymous with late game, close game choking, with being whatever the record is now in close games. They mentioned at the end of the broadcast last night. It's atrocious. It was like 3-11 or something. I don't know, under Scott Frost. Something really, really awful. I also wonder how much of that reasonably does get put on coaches, because we look at these sports with such magnifying glasses. We zoom in so very much. I was listening to one of the athletic football shows today talking about the first-year play callers in the NFL and kind of going through how, like, Mike Kafka is going to impact the Giants. I promise there's a point here back to Nebraska football. We have individual players who we discuss who are being coached by their individual position coaches who are being overseen by coordinators. We have a head coach at the top of this entire mountain. Collegiately, your head coach is also the guy that's at the top of the recruiting mountain. In some ways, at the top of the financing mountain. Like, that is a very big position to be in, the head coach of a big college football program. Is it Scott Frost's fault that they lose close games? I don't know. It legitimately might be. But it also seems like kind of a wild thing to just point to one guy at the top of the mountain and say, you're why we can never win 27-24. But also, if I was a Nebraska fan, I'd want the head coach bleeping fired, because try something different. It's clearly not working. I just don't know how we draw those connecting dots just yet.
Because if you're, let's say you're an AD of a program like Nebraska,
yep,
that on game day is the second largest city in the state, that the actual stadium,
right.
Like one of those crazy things where they just, the passion in the state for Nebraska football.
You are the heartbeat of that state's entertainment.
Right.
Nothing in the state of Nebraska is a bigger entertainment product than Nebraska football.
Not even close. And so you're the AD. You've got Scott Frost, and let's go back to last year, year 4. Or let's even go to the, off season. So after year 4 ends, November 27th. So November 26th was their final game. It's November 27th. You're the AD. You're looking at a 3-9 football team coming off a 3-5 season the year before. So obviously that is brutal. In year 4, you're 3-9. But then of those 9 losses, 8 of them were within a score. The one loss that was not within a score, they lost by 9. Here's who they played in those losses. They lost to Oklahoma on the road, number 3 Oklahoma at the time, by 7. They lost at Michigan State, number 20 at the time, by 3. They lost at Minnesota by 7. They lost at home to Purdue by 5. They lost to Ohio State at home by 9, who was number 6 at the time. They lost at number 19 Wisconsin by 7, and they lost at home to number 17 Iowa by 7. So you're sitting there on November 27th, are you asking yourself, is this a team that just can't win close games? Or is this a team that actually feels that close to turning it around because you were a possession or 2 away from Oklahoma, a possession or 2 away from Michigan State, a play here or there against Ohio State, a play here or there against Wisconsin, a play here or there against Iowa? And I can see how you would convince yourself and say, no, we're staying with this guy. Yeah. Like, you know, this thing, you know, we're gonna. That worm is going to turn. Like that can't continue to have the bad luck that takes place in these close games late.
Grab your cup for me, Jason. Grab your cup.
And
real
then
quick.
You start game number 1 the next year with the same theme.
Let's have a nice sip together.
Okay. What are you going to say? Like a 3-word?
At what point does sample size make a turnaround?
You think it's small or big? Sample
Beers,
size.
You awake?
Sample size.
I'm here.
Plan ahead. Hit the button. That's for you for Friday. You're welcome.
Sample size.
I think that the logic there of, hey, we are a bounce of this oblong ball away from taking down Oklahoma is a very meaningful sales pitch. What's the sample size?
Mm-hmm.
My inclination is to follow everything that you just said. And then I found the actual stat here. I undershot it. This is from David Hale. Nebraska is the first Power 5 team to lose 9 straight one-possession games since Iowa State from 2014 to 2016. So losing 9 straight one-possession games feels like a close games issue, right? 9 is a lot.
Yeah.
The Huskers are now 5-21 in one-score games under Scott Frost.
I mean, eventually it comes back to the head coach. I mean, not even eventually. It does come back to the head coach.
I would expect positive regression around there somewhere, but that would be way easier. If we were doing Nebraska radio right now, and Scott Frost was 2 and I don't know that this is where he actually got, but he was 2-4 in one possession games, 2-5. I'd say, look, man, maybe there's a really good team in there, a bad loss, and one football that should have bounced the other way. This team's moving in the right direction. That's a tough thing to sell at 5-21. That is no longer a small sample size.
Well, and the other issue with losing those close games is that, you know, you're not going out and winning some blowout games, right? You're not going out and be like, oh, we won by 30. We won by 35.
True.
Yeah, we lost a close game here or there, but against inferior opponents, we pounded them.
You're still creating close games against teams that should not be that good.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that we got into a couple of years ago when it was a conversation about Andy Reid and losing close games. And
that's what this reminds me of, and I want to pump the brakes a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Andy Reid's record, far superior in close games than what we're talking about here. But what I was wondering is, like, okay, Belichick has a better record at that time. And I don't remember what the numbers were. But Belichick had a better record of, you know, close games with Andy Reid. And I went and looked at, like, the previous 5 years. So at that time, it was like previous 5 years, and it was, okay, what's the record in one-score games? And Belichick had a better record than Andy Reid did in one-score games. But what was really surprising is how few, and it might have been like one, of one-score losses that Andy Reid had along the way, where go back and look at some of those years with Brady. They were getting blown out in some games. They were winning some close games, but remember, the Chiefs beat them a couple of times by a pretty handy margin. You saw some other teams beat, New England by a pretty decent margin. Remember, those were happening, which led us to say, this is the end of the dynasty. They weren't just losing a close game and saying, oh, it's the end of a dynasty. They were getting blown out in some games. And that's not what Andy Reid does. And so you get to a point to where you go, okay, Andy Reid's record in closer games isn't as good as Bill Belichick, but is he a better coach because he's coaching his team into close games that maybe other coaches would have just simply got beat down in that matchup on that day with that team and that preparation? They got you, and they won by 24. That didn't happen with Andy Reid. It didn't, but it happened with Bill Belichick. So those closer games, they end up winning. And obviously Belichick has earned, the respect over the years. But when you've got at least a decent win-loss record, you can make that case. As opposed to when your win-loss record is this bad, then you're starting to talk about being pulled back to inferior opponents that you should be beating by multiple scores, but yet somehow you find yourself in a one-score game. Just as Northwestern, you were 13-point favorites. Wherever it ended at. I mean, it might have been 12.5. It might have been 13. I don't know where it ended, but roughly 13-point favorites. And you were up by 11. And you then regressed, and Northwestern pulled you back, as opposed to you pulling a better team back to you that we talked about from a year ago. You also allow inferior opponents to do that to you, that you just find yourself in these close games, and it's a play here, a play there, and you lose. And, I mean, if they're talking about it already nationally, then they're talking about it in Lincoln and in Omaha and throughout Nebraska of how long Scott Frost actually remains the head coach of Nebraska.
I think
Unbelievable.
The most important thing there is, you just don't let those losses stick with you for too long, which is why I'm going to stop acknowledging the Sports Center that began this hour from here on out. Thanks, everybody, for coming to my press conference.
But that wasn't a close loss. That was a blowout.
That was a blowout.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
This is a guy through the first 3 quarters of the game had a quarterback rating of, well, now I lost that.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up at about 11:45 or so. We will hear from Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Creed Humphrey, and George Karlaftis. That is today out at the Chiefs practice facility. You know, we were talking college football in the previous segment. Wanted to play a couple of clips before we take a break and then head out to Arrowhead Stadium, or at least the practice facilities. Want to hear from Eli Drinkwitz. The Missouri Tigers get underway in a big year for Eli. I mean, back-to-back years being 500, losing the bowl game last year, so 5-5 and then 6-7 for his career at Mizzou, and working on defensive coordinator number 3 in as many years. This is a big year for Eli Drinkwitz. They get ready for Louisiana Tech, 7 o'clock on Thursday night. One of the players that a lot of people will be watching and excited about is Luther Burden, and I think this is going to be a natural reaction from a coach. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but take a listen when asked about the impact that a Luther Burden will make on this Missouri squad.
We've got to be careful of how much expectation we put and hype we put on this young man. He's incredibly talented. God's given him an ability to play the game at a high level. He's got a great competitive spirit. But if there's too much pressure on him or too much pressure to get him the ball, the quarterback's forcing the ball in the places that it shouldn't go. I go back to what you said, the play don't care who makes it. The quarterback's got to distribute the ball. And the great thing about the way we're wired right now offensively, I have confidence in all 5 skill positions that they can win their matchup. And if the play call is designed in such a way and they play the defense in such a way the ball goes to Luther, I'm very confident he's going to make a play. But I'm just as confident that Toski Dove, Chance Looper, Mookie Cooper, Barrett Bannister, and Dominic Lovett can make the play too when it's their opportunity. So the quarterback doesn't have to go out there and say, oh man, I got to get the ball to Luther. No, he got to make the right play with the ball based on what he's either attacking or the weakness of the defense.
Look, I'm pumped to watch Luther Burden play, and I think every coach at the beginning of the season, when there's a guy as hyped as Luther is, that you would say those things. Hey, let's be careful on overhyping and putting too much on the guy's shoulders. Maybe I'm reading too much into it when the first reaction is, let's back off a little bit. Look, he's really talented. He's going to make some plays. Other guys are going to make some plays too. We'll find out. They'll play the game, and a big year for Mizzou. Here is Eli Drinkwitz weighing in on the fan attendance for Thursday's nationally televised game against Louisiana Tech.
You know, if I'm being honest, we've done a lot. I mean, I spoke at the IFC. I think it's IFC. Yeah, IFC this morning. You know, to all the brand new Greek Life members to try to rile them up to be here. Went to a Res Life pep rally on Friday night. I mean, we're doing everything we can to start fast, and it starts with our students. You know, we have 7,500 student tickets, and for me, you know, I've shot my mouth off a lot in the last 2 years, but for me, it's really about let's have the best student section first. If we can get, you know, we got 30,000 or 25,000 students that go to school here. If we get all 25,000 to come to the game, we'll have a great atmosphere, and then it'll spread from there. So, for me, that's my focus: is how do we get our students here? How do we make sure that they have a great experience and want to come and create an unbelievable atmosphere on a Thursday night, and then our team will do its part to continue that momentum. But I mean, once we get here on Thursday, I'm not going to worry about it at all. You got to kind of eliminate that factor. But I am trying to partner with our athletic department to do our very best to get our fans engaged.
I think the cart is before the horse on that one. When it's how do we get our students here to have an awesome atmosphere, and then our team carry that momentum forward. You get them there by winning. You get them there by playing good football. That's how you get it. Look, I understand. Do what you got to do. Go to the Res Life. Have those conversations. Go speak in front of the IFC. Been there, done that. Different reasons there, Eli. Go do whatever you want to do to get the student section there. Awesome. get the fan attendance there. Great. Do all those things. But they're not going to be there long if you're not winning. And it's not on them to show up to help your product. It's your product to be good enough to draw them to show up. One leads to the other. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we will lead into a press conference with the Chiefs with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Creed Humphrey, and George Karlaftis coming up next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I've said it before, I've never seen a fast guy that has the endurance that he has and the energy, and he lives on gummy bears. I mean, it's ridiculous. I look at a gummy bear and put on 5 pounds. He goes out and screeches with them. So it's jet fuel for him.
On Sports Radio 810.
Always pick the Chiefs in Madden.
I will hear from Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Creed Humphrey, and George Karlaftis. Furious George. George Snuffleupagus.
All good.
Yep.
Just can't be Greek freak. It's already is one.
Sponge George Square Dance.
Sponge George Motor Pants,
I like it.
I think was the one about his motor.
Sponge George Motor Pants. I'll take that as well. I still like the Furious George one. That's
Furious George,
that's the
I
best
think,
one.
has the best chance of sticking out of
Yep.
all of those.
That
Maybe the
is,
least convoluted.
That is the best one. Sort of like we were product testing Vinny Pasquantino's nickname.
Yes.
And now I guess we've landed on Pasquatch since he likes that nickname.
It's a good one, man.
He likes it.
It's good.
He's endorsing it. He didn't like, he wasn't a big fan of Italian Nightmare. He wasn't a big fan of that. Clearly, he didn't like Chen's.
Yeah.
Because that didn't even get off the ground, Vincenzo. Yeah. But he likes Pasquatch.
I like Pasquatch a lot.
So there you go.
I think more sort of nicknames based off of mythical monsters, I think is always good with me.
Absolutely. So just like Furious George.
Little did they know.
Based directly off.
Curious George actually grows up into being a Bigfoot. People don't know that. There's your connection between Vinny Sasquatch Tino and Furious George.
There you go. So we'll hear from George Karlaftis, Creed Humphrey, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Creed Humphrey showing up on the ESPN Top 100. Creed Humphrey and Joe Tooney in the Top 100 for ESPN. Creed Humphrey, number 68. Joe Tooney, number 86. Did not show up in the NFL's Top 100. But ESPN put him in the Top 100 at 68 and 86.
Imagine there are a lot more linemen in the ESPN one.
I would guess, yeah, that's probably the case. I didn't go and look through and keep tabs on all of them, but I would guess that would be the case. By the way, did you see the joke they played on Sky Moore with the 801 Chop House bill that they gave him to pay?
If I did, it might have been the funniest thing I saw this weekend, is all I'm going to say.
All right.
I mean,
MVS will talk, and maybe
you should go ahead and set the screen on that, because set the stage on that, because I bet you're right. I bet someone will ask him about it.
So they went out as a group, and they handed the bill to Sky Moore as the rookie, and it was a $22,000 bill for the group, and he sort of lost his lunch a little bit, or dinner, and was not happy about the fact that he was given this entire bill. It was a prank that they played on him, and he said that he ended up saying that actually MVS ended up picking up the tab.
And it was not $22,000.
And it was a fake one, because if you look at the receipt, it says dinner, $18,000, wine, $2,000, and then it adds the tax. Really, most tabs you get just say dinner.
Also, all of those stories are like, oh yeah, food was like $1,000, but they spent $50 on booze. Like, that's how you rack up that kind of receipt.
But also, dinner was $18,000 exactly.
Even.
Cents.
Yes.
No, a couple dollars here. Wine was $2,000 even. Now that may have been the case with $2,000 even if it's just like, hey, this bottle of wine is $1,000 exactly. I'll take two. Boom. There's $2,000 on wine. Okay, understandable. But zero chance that dinner for a lot of people ends up coming to $18,000 even. So you should have known something was up with that. I don't know what the actual bill came to, but apparently it was a lot, to the point that they felt they could joke with Sky Moore for $22,000.
I watched some of the Instagram Live that Sky Moore did afterwards.
And by the way, love to know what Alex got. Alex was the server.
Well, I was going to ask you about the server. Did you see really who the server was there?
It said Alex S?
It sure did.
Oh,
it sure did. I don't know if if it happened to be a server named Alex S.
It's got to be a server named Alex S.
Or if this is like a deep cut Alex Smith prank, like that maybe could this have started years ago? Is that a total line of luck that just so happened that the server who took care of the Chiefs group here just happened to be an Alex S.
It was actually just Alex Smith and Groucho Marx glasses and mustache.
Right, that's good. Maybe Alex Smith had a part-time job.
Isn't the person that then prints the receipt, doesn't it automatically come up with their name? Can you insert a different name? Like, I feel like there's so much connected to this person gets this, so that tip is then connected to this person. She gets the tip, or he gets the tip.
Yes, I mean, but that's my way of of knowing. just from my experience, you get the server name and then everything else. But also, I've never seen a receipt for exactly $20,000 on the subtotal. So I don't know how much of this was done on the fly. I don't know how you create a fake receipt for 22 grand and change. So I don't know.
You work at the restaurant, and you just simply type it in, and you probably got, a manager or whoever that can just go through, here's the receipt, then back out of all this, erase all of that stuff, boom, it's not going to come up on the ledger or anything. All right, here's your actual receipt. MVS going to go ahead and need that credit card there, buddy. Or he can pay with cash, straight cash, homie.
But I'm just wondering now, this is the part of it I didn't know until this morning, the Alex S part. I'm just wondering now, is that also editable? Was that a little reference made by somebody? Or just hilarious luck, and then it also could have been, Damon H. serving the food that night. Brody C.
But I don't know why you would go with Alex S.
Matt C.
The players there don't have most of the players there don't have a connection to Alex S.
That's my theory, is that it's just a long-running,
Juju, MVS, Sky.
McCole would have crossed over a little bit. Right?
No, McColl's a rookie in 19.
18. 18? Draft?
No, he was a rookie. This is his fourth year.
Holy smokes.
He was a rookie in 19.
Chiefs timelines on all this.
So he wouldn't have. He was 2 years away from crossing over. Even if it was a rookie in 18, Alex Smith was already gone at that point.
Holy smoke.
So Kelsey being there might have been the only crossover.
And I don't even know if he was at the dinner.
Was it just wide receivers? Was it
all
skill position players? Things like that. I'm
Get
not
to the
sure.
bottom of it, Tysher! I hope Adam asks MVS
will
today.
ask it. He's the shock jock.
And I want Adam Tysher to say, was the server's name actually Alex S., or was that a bit?
So you think this is maybe a long-running bit that Alex Smith started a while ago, and then you got to keep it going by the server being Alex Smith. Like Zach Greinke, every single player's first hit on the Royals this year, they toss it, Zach Greinke grabs it, and then throws a ball into the stands. And this prank that's been going on since roughly 1898. Since Zach
Greinke's rookie season.
Yes. Since Daniel Gas Can Oil Arm Dubner. Here's George Karlaftis.
So it's your first time through, making all the way through a training camp and it's supposed to be coming up. How you get any tips on how you're supposed to approach this as you're done with the game to get ready?
Yeah, I think it's just like anything. I think for me, it's just individualizing everything. Every rep, every day, kind of individualizing everything and taking everything very seriously. Just for me, training camp is just all about getting better, and this period too also. So just about improving every single day.
I know you had a routine growing up, probably in college too, but how much of that routine going to change?
Yeah, it changes. In college, you live like 2 minutes from the facility here. You got a little bit of a drive sometimes, and that sort of stuff. The hours are a little different. So I kind of tried to have a similar routine as I did in college to here, and just mold it to what I needed to here in Kansas City. So it's been going pretty well. I think I found a routine for the most part, and it's been going pretty good.
For understanding, there's always room for improvement. How do you feel like you did during the three preseason games? You pretty satisfied?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think had a lot of things to improve. Definitely, definitely showed, a couple of good things as well on tape, but definitely a whole lot I need to improve on.
What are some of the things that you had to improve on?
Just certain things, just intricacies in the game, like, on certain pass rush reps, doing this differently as opposed to that, and you always want to win and you always want to get an edge, so striving for perfection in everything that you do. So.
We got to see you working one-on-one with Frank quite a bit during training camp. What he meant for your transition from the college to the pro?
Frank's been great. He's taken me under his wing. His body of work speaks for itself. He's a great, and he's been great for the room, a great leader. He's been great for me, just teaching me everything that the guys, when he was a rookie, taught him in Seattle, so he's been awesome.
You got to start the game against the Packers. When did you know you were going to be starting the game? And it's pre-season, but what kind of emotions for that?
That wasn't significant to me in any way. We have a core group of ends that, we really like. It doesn't matter who's out there, who's starting, who's finishing the game, and any of that. It just, when you're out there, make the most of it.
Are you starting to feel more comfortable? I know it's preseason and all, but going into your first regular season game as a rookie, you starting to feel more comfortable inside the system? And
Yeah, I think, every day that goes on, I feel more and more comfortable, learning the playbook now is pretty much, know the playbook and all that stuff, and now it's just more fine-tuning the technique and becoming a better football player.
When you were in college, obviously you had class stuff, but how much time were you spending away from here studying the playbook and just, playing
I'd say a pretty good amount, Say a good amount, and I think the biggest thing is like, we're here from certain time to certain time, so it's really about multitasking, if you're getting two things done at once, whether I'm getting a massage or something, trying to watch film in, or if I'm in the sauna or cold tub, that kind of stuff, just multitasking in order to save up on time and be as efficient as possible, just so you can get all those things done and take care of your body. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've learned from the vets, and the thing I've tried to implement the most. No, not really. Haven't gone into the game planning so much. Right now, just focus more on us. That's what it's been.
It seems like the fans are having a hard time. Got a nickname for you. I heard Greek Freak earlier. I've heard Curious George now. Have you heard anything that you like yet?
I don't know. Everybody just calls me George, I like Furious George. I mean, that's not bad. So.
What kind of feedback are you getting now as you develop somewhat of a sack celebration with your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't think that's super important. For me, just getting the sack, everything else is trivial. So.
With the preseason now behind you, your first NFL regular season game coming up, what will the emotions be like, do you think, going to Arizona here in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Definitely something I'm super excited about, super pumped about. And not just for me, for our defense, for our defensive line, and for our whole team, just kind of show the world what we're about. Definitely excited to get back out there and have a great year for the team. So.
Does it change the nervousness knowing that now the games actually count?
No, for me everything counts. Practice and walkthroughs and all that stuff. You try to take that as seriously as possible. So then it's like, get the game day, and then you're all over the place. So definitely just try to take everything as seriously as possible. So then no moment seems too big.
Sure. I saw you with President Sana to your house. Did you? How important is the recovery?
Yeah, just like I was saying, it's part of the recovery. I like to watch film a lot, or get on the phone with coach while I'm in the sauna. So just like I said, multitasking and getting my recovery and getting multiple things done at once. I think that's been huge, because there's only a certain amount of time in the day where I'm not here. So definitely just trying to maximize everything, be as efficient as possible with my time, so I can become the best player I possibly can be. That's what it's all about for me.
You saw the tab from the rookie meal. Did you participate in that?
No, that was just for the receivers. We haven't had ours, but yeah, it'll be. I wouldn't say nervous,
How much too much?
I don't know. I don't even have an idea of what it'll be like, so I couldn't honestly tell you. If I saw $23,000 like Sky, I think I'd have a similar reaction. But
You got enough room on your credit card?
I don't know. I'd have to give him a call ahead of time. So.
All right, guys. Go ahead, try to ask you, was there anything you remember about your first game in college and how that might be?
Yeah, we played Nevada and we lost, so that was pretty significant to me. Losing your first game, it just leaves such a bitter taste in your mouth. Against a team that, quite honestly, we should have beat, by a significant margin. We knew that we were better than them, and I have a bitter taste for my first 2 seasons at Purdue just because of our record, and a lot of things just went south. But I think when it comes to my time at Purdue, I think it all triumphed when we went 8-4, 9-4 with the bowl game this past year. So, that was definitely good to see that improvement and elevate the program, elevate the jersey, the Bullets.
It sounds like that still fuels you. Would that be still some part of the motivation for you?
No, I wouldn't say it motivates me. Just, just plays you want back as a player. It's one of those types of deals, am I over it? Probably not, but it just sucks whenever you lose, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, as close as you are to winning almost doesn't count, so.
Okay, thanks, George.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Man, by the way, you're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The more and more I hear him talk, the more and more excited I get about him. Maybe not even right out of the gates, but just you get the feel that this guy is going to never stop trying to get better. When it's like, do you feel satisfied with your preseason game? No, I wouldn't say that at all. You started. How cool is that? You started against the Packers. Did you know that? And what was that like? That wasn't significant at all. I mean, there's a core group of guys. Go out there and just, got to do my part. What about you're looking at this one now counts against the Arizona Cardinals. What's that going to mean?
Practice counts to me.
For me, everything counts.
Waking up in the morning counts. Getting in the car counts.
Walkthroughs count. Practices count. OTAs count. Which, by the way, it's backed up by the fact that people were saying, well, we had to dial him back in OTAs. We had to, look, it's not 100% because he's always wanting to go 100%. Like, he's always trying to go that extra level, and that actually makes sense when he says, well, it counts against, everything counts.
Do you remember his pre-draft Chipotle Bowl? A lot of top prospects did that. George Karlaftis, triple steak, double white rice, light cheese. That's it. That is a man where every rep counts, every mouthful counts.
What do you remember about your first game in college? We played Nevada and lost, and it still bothers me.
Pretty significant. Counted.
I mean, that's just so... And I don't find it to be, like, coach speak. Like, I'm just going to be generic, and I know that these are the things I'm supposed to say.
Just answering the question.
I find that to be how he actually feels, because it was a pretty quick, and there was no real emotion with it of, you started in the NFL. Preseason or not, you started a game in the NFL. That wasn't significant at all to me.
You might as well have blown a raspberry.
Yeah. It's like, he might have been answering questions on his tax form. Well, I went to dinner on August 15th. Okay.
Thanks, George.
What about when you started against the Packers? That wasn't significant at all. Why is that supposed to be significant? I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Some guys start, some guys don't. We all go in there and play, and it's about getting the job done. It's about winning the game. That's what it's about. And, by the way, it has been decided it's Furious George.
He likes it. He kind of likes it. Not bad, I think he said.
He said, I thought he said, sounds pretty good.
Let's see. Aaron Ladd's quote here, I like Furious George. That's not bad. He might have filled it up with pretty good.
Okay.
Not sure.
Not
keep
bad.
Looking.
So we'll go with not bad. Because then he was like, I don't know, people just call me George.
Yeah, you could say, hey, George, people are calling you George Karlaftis, the greatest football player to ever live. He'd be like, I don't know, that's fine.
Well, that's dumb. People just call me George.
Just George. George works.
George is...
GK, I'll accept.
Yeah.
Or triple steak, double white rice, light cheese, George Karlaftis.
See, when I write notes and I get ready in show format on my pad here, GK is just PM2, GK, TK.
Yeah.
CEH, MVS.
I've got MVS,
Juju.
Creed, and GK as our three people at the podium today.
Yep, definitely Creed, Tooney, Trey, OBJ.
Yep. Sometimes I confuse myself with that one. Got to be careful about the OBJ.
I don't. See, Jones. That's what I go with. Bolton, Gay, Juan, Reed.
I'm going to go Juan.
I'm still
I
trying
don't know
to.
why I go Thornhill, but I do.
I'm still trying. Well, Juan's quicker. Just go Juan.
No, I get it.
It's
I get
4
it.
letters. I'm still trying to figure out Trent McDuffie because I've been doing TMCD, but I
do McD. I go
McD?
MCD.
MCD.
Yep.
Yeah, that would make
little,
sense.
Big M, little C, big D.
I used to go Sneed, but now that I know they call him LJ, I'm just gonna go. I go LJ now.
Good.
I go Fenton or Rashad. That one goes either one. I don't have a specific one every time.
I'm a Fenton guy.
I go back and forth with that.
Sometimes I just drop in a 27.
Yeah, McCole, Sky. Will I go Justin or will I go Watson?
Got to go Watson.
You think I'm just going to go Watson?
I think you got to go. Well, you have Jalen.
Yeah, but the odds of offense, Patrick Mahomes throws to Watson thinking, was that Jalen or was that 84 or 35? I can't figure it out.
Jay Watson. You're welcome.
Done. J, last letter in Watson.
Yeah, that's good.
Now you know for a fact.
My handwriting is also kind of impressionistic, I would argue. So I mean, I had a little NEB/NW when we were talking about Nebraska Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it means. Sometimes I just need a second to kind of get my decoder ring back out.
That's all that matters is when you get the decoder ring out, it doesn't say Neb versus Northwestern. It says, be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
That's it, right.
It's a crummy commercial this whole time. I've been writing crummy commercials with my decoder ring. So we'll hear from MVS. Obviously, as you can tell, they are waiting for MVS right now, or it might be Creed. One of the two they are waiting on right now.
Who would you rather be waiting on? Who would you rather the Chiefs be waiting on this season? Would you rather be waiting on MVS or waiting on Creed? I think if you're waiting
What
on
does it
Creed,
mean? Wait,
something bad is
describe
happening.
waiting.
Nope.
So it's just open for interpretation.
Exactly. You got a deal or no deal situation. You got to hit a button. I think I'd rather be waiting.
than be waiting on MVS.
I agree. I think you'd rather be waiting on MVS because maybe there's a chance that he, speeds back up at some point.
Right, but you've got Juju and McCole, and you've got Kelsey, and you've got Sky.
Spread the load there. If you're waiting on Creed, something bad has happened.
You've got Allegretti, maybe Ryder, maybe Caliendo, depending on what they do with the final roster cut downs tomorrow. So
I hope we're waiting on MVS.
Yeah, because Creed is voted from ESPN's all their different analysts that they've used for this upcoming season, the number 68 player in the NFL.
I don't know if we ever actually talked about this on Friday, but the reason that MVS didn't play on Friday also seems to be the reason we didn't hear from him when he was scheduled to be at the podium Wednesday or Thursday, which Andy Reid said after the game on Thursday that MVS had a concussion or a head thing of some sort, which kept him out of the game. Not that he would have played a ton there, likely either way. But if he does get to the podium today, that's good news. That likely means he's cleared all those protocols and everything. If we're waiting on him to get to the podium right now, I'm not sure. I don't know. If MVS mysteriously doesn't speak today, that might be a little bit concerning. But I assume they would assume that he would be back and be ready to go.
Him?
Yeah.
You could have scheduled anybody.
Yeah.
You've had all weekend to schedule people.
I would expect him to be here at some point for everything to be okay.
Yeah.
But just something I don't know if we even mentioned on Friday.
We did not.
The shuffling of everything else. MVS was out because of a head issue. I believe that Andy Reid said suffered during practice, which also should have been a walkthrough that last practice before he was supposed to talk to us. So who knows what happened there? But
I know exactly what happened.
Oh, tell me about it.
Karlaftis hit him.
Oh God, it always counts for this guy. Furious George, they're calling him.
If MVS collided with somebody and got a concussion in a walkthrough, the immediate reaction would be Karlaftis, right?
Come on, George.
Furious George. Let's be less furious, George.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a different word that's neither curious nor furious. I'll work on it.
Yeah. Less furious.
Words that rhyme with furious. Okay, as long as we get a presser soon, I'll have a funny answer by the time we get back.
And then you got to go with antonyms of furious that may also rhyme with furious.
Can you be a little more Mercurius, George?
Mercurius, George. No, you can't.
Incurious really doesn't get the job done.
See, there you go.
No, that's not great.
Doesn't care about anything going on. Not curious at all. So, George Karlaftis. I like what I've seen so far. I like what I hear from George Karlaftis. I think he's going to make the squad as well. Now, does Malik Herring make the squad? Kane Doe, guys like that, we'll find out. I think Karlaftis is safe. And I also think it's something we haven't touched on even on Friday when we talked about it, and today as well, in that I think it's significant he started against the Packers because I think he's the starting defensive end now. I think he starts against Arizona, right? Isn't that why you go with Karlaftis? Because you go with your starters for the final preseason game?
I certainly think
Those
so.
that are healthy?
Unless he's been spurious, George, which means that he would be plausible but false, intended to deceive. So that would be, if he's been spurious, George, this whole time, that's a big problem.
I don't think there's a... I don't think there is a bone in his body that is trying to misrepresent anything.
You know what he'd be good in front of?
What's that?
A jury, yes, George.
No.
MVS should be at the podium any minute now.
You thought that was going to be the dismount, and then we would hear from MVS.
I was hoping that I would dismount, and then you would say, here's Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Or Marquez.
What did I say?
You said Kez. I mean, we get names right around here.
Yeah, sorry, I'll get better at that.
Here's MVS.
Epicurean George.
I didn't say anything. So that was
You're a rookie, I mean.
Yeah, no, that was the whole prank, is that they bring out a fake bill, say your card gets declined. And then you got to call your bank and call your financial advisor, and then everyone's just laughing at you, and then whoever the vet is in the room, he takes care of the tab. So that's
How
kind
long
of...
do you guys have that this is real?
Oh, it went on for the whole time. So he had to. They brought the bill out. They ran his card twice. It got declined. He had to call his financial advisor. Got on the phone with the bank, and then we brought it out. So it was a. He was sweating for about a good 5 minutes. It's a long 5 minutes too. Everyone just looking at you and figuring out. Yeah, it worked perfectly. Yeah, so it was good fun. I think when it's his turn to do it, when the next rookie comes in, it'll be good for him. And it was good for the guys. Everyone enjoyed it. Good bonding for the guys, and got to learn a lot about the guys, off the field. So it was a good time. Yeah. I practiced yesterday, so it was good. So we'll be ready for week 1.
What's your excitement level of getting out and playing an actual football game with the Chiefs after going through all of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you never take these things for granted. Because this game can be taken from you at any given time. So every day I get to wake up and live out my dream. It's always a level of excitement that can't be matched. And I'm honored. God wakes me up every day, and I can't be more excited to go out there and play week 1.
I don't feel when you guys have come along as a group. You get to know each other at dinners and meetings and all the camp and all that stuff. It's a whole bunch of new guys inside your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've come along very well. And each guy in that room does something unique and different. And I think that's what makes our room so special. And obviously with the team back there, and Coach Reed called me plays, we can pretty much do anything. But I think just with our room specifically, there's just so many different weapons and varieties of what we can do and type of players that we are. It's not just one guy that can do one thing. And they move us around and let us all kind of, experience different positions and different routes. And that's the beauty of this offense. I think that's why we're going to be very explosive and successful.
We see a lot of people, a lot of players that don't play preseason, right? How important is it for you to get out there and actually get to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's I didn't play a lot of preseason when I was in Green Bay. I think maybe I played 2 games in my 4 years there. And there's goods and bads to it. Because obviously the risk of injury, but that's with any day. You have a risk of injury anytime you step on the field, regardless. But just getting live reps against different teams, getting tackled for once, and just being able to go out and play against somebody that you haven't been seeing for the last 30 days, it's always good too.
As a player, you've been in this for a minute. How seriously do you all take the rankings? I know a lot of players will say about the bad ratings that they get, and then seeing that the top 100 came out yesterday, Patrick's number. Have you had a chance to talk to him, and you think that might actually motivate him even more if he wasn't already motivated?
No, I don't think that guys take that too serious. Obviously, it's an honor to be recognized as one of the best players in the NFL, it's subjective. Obviously, everyone's going to vote for the people that they like, and obviously you see guys like Aaron who wins MVP back to back. He's number 3 on the list. And so it's subjective. And Patrick is one of the best players in the NFL. Those track. So just even get that conversation of the top 10 category.
Do you like this hat?
Do I like the hat?
Do you like the hat?
I don't like the hat. I like
what about the glasses?
I like the glasses.
I can put the glasses on? What about the necklace?
It's the hat, bro. It's the hat, bro. The hat is bad. And it's too small for your head.
No, it's not. It fits perfectly.
No, I think it's the hair underneath the hat.
Do you see my hair?
Yeah.
What if I tuck my hair? Is that the Nickelodeon?
Do you have?
What is it called?
No. But yeah, to even be in that conversation for the top player in the league, I think they all honored and respected. So I don't think that it's going to be extra motivation to say I want to be number 1 next year. Everybody wants to be the best in the league. That's what we do this thing for.
How close would you say the wide receivers group is? I mean, obviously outside of McCole, you got maybe you got new core groups coming from different teams, different systems, and different responsibilities. How close of a closeness would you think you are?
Yeah, I mean, when you spend every day with these guys, you tend to get really close. We hang out outside of the facility as well. We'll have people go over to Juju's house or my house and kind of just hang out and chill. So I think that it's a good thing to be able to, knowing that you can depend on these guys, on and off the field. It makes them, a brotherhood that you can't, emulate anywhere else.
When guys come here, they say it's more of a family atmosphere. Do you think that can, come from where you from?
Yeah, I mean, just from being here so far, I've probably had more out of football experiences with different guys than I had in Green Bay in 4 years. Just because Green Bay's such a small town and guys kind of just can't really do much outside besides go to each other's houses. So, I've been to events with, guys on the team, go to the Kendrick Lamar concert with Pat. I went to a couple soccer games. So just being able to go out and, experience those things with the guys and just build that chemistry. Obviously going down to Texas, hanging out with all the guys there. So it's just been a good time. And, you can see why that family atmosphere is created here.
What do you think is the biggest challenge facing the unit so far? Everybody's building chemistry, they haven't played the games. What do you think is the biggest challenge?
Just learning a new system. Obviously we all come from different places, and trying to be able to go out there week one and know exactly how Pat looks at things and sees things. So obviously that's going to be the biggest challenge. But we're all smart guys. That's why we're here, and we're all athletically gifted. So I don't think there's going to be any challenge that we can't face. But I think that's obviously the biggest challenge, just learning a new system with new guys and new verbiage.
To that point, playing in the preseason, what does it do for you, sort of having that conversation with Patrick sort of off the field after certain series? I know you guys had a couple series in that second season. What element of that can maybe help for obviously open game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're practicing, you got a script that you can study and see those things. But when you're in the game, it's all live bullets. So there's not really everything has to be taught on the fly. You got to talk about it after the play happens. It's not really a thing we can say, okay, we got this play coming up in our next period, so let's kind of talk about it beforehand. It's, okay, well, now we've already done that, and now we have to go out and execute it. And so when we see something different, in the game, we can kind of make those adjustments, and that's what the preseason is for, essentially.
Just because it's such a defensive unit, what's the confidence level you feel from Patrick right now, and what tells you that he's feeling comfortable with you guys enough to go out and win?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick is a unique talent, one-of-one guys, so his confidence level is going to always be high because he can do anything with the football. So with the big group of receivers that we have, and obviously Trav back there, he can make anything happen. So I think he believes in us, and we believe in ourselves more than anything. So I think that we have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the league, and we're confident about that.
I saw you on the field before the game last week, saying hi to your old teammates and coaches. What was that like?
It was weird. Just to go out and see all the guys that I spent the last 4 years with. But it was good to see all my old friends, all my old coaches. A lot of questions and just catching up with everybody. It was good. I saw them the night before, a couple of them as well. And so just being able to catch up and say hi to some familiar faces was good.
Did you pick them with a dinner bill the night before?
Nah. So they were already having dinner, and I just kind of stopped by and crashed the party. So.
Thanks for the question.
Yep. All right, there's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. We'll hear from Creed Humphrey here in just a little bit. So talking about, he's out of the concussion protocol, so he is good to go. Practice yesterday, and the prank they played on Sky Moore. I didn't realize how intricate it was in the fact that they had his card be declined. Like, they did have him pay for it at first. Card that got declined. Card got declined again. He had to call his parents. He called his financial advisor to try to figure it out before ultimately they let him in on the prank and the joke. And it was all good, and apparently Marquez Valdez-Scantling then picked up the tab. And go ahead.
This didn't lend itself to radio audio very much, but Sky Moore's post-game Instagram Live, going through some of the step-by-steps, really excellent. It sounds like maybe it was MVS's prank original.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nicole Hardman wearing a slime hat there. We was talking to MVS. Here's Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, I'm approaching it just like a game week. We got a lot of goals to hit this year. We got a lot of things to accomplish and to prove. So, we're attacking this week with great motivation, still learning a lot of new things, still building chemistry. So it's been really good this week so far.
As a guy who appreciates being a mauler in the trenches, what do you guys need to do to continue the momentum from when you ran the football the last preseason game and that carries into the regular season?
Yeah, it's just a mindset for us. We definitely have the guys up front to, be physical, maul guys, and, that's kind of our motto, and that's kind of our mission this year is to do that. So, it's really just a mindset and, being able to get on the field and actually do it. That's the biggest thing. So, guys are taking it day by day right now. Still building chemistry. Things are going great right now. So it's been good for us.
Is it a matter of number of reps you get, though? In preseason games, you're seeing maybe 1-2 series max. How much does that play into getting a rhythm with the running game?
Yeah, I think Coach Reed does a good job throughout practice of getting us, a ton of reps in the run game too. So, we've gotten a ton of looks, a ton of reps. So it's been really good for us so far.
Yes, but
Creed, when you were a rookie, obviously you needed the talent to obviously excited for the opportunity, but how was Patrick as a communicator to try to help reassure you that you were capable of obviously being successful to start your career as a rookie?
Yeah, Pat's great, and he's just a great teammate, great leader to have around you. So, as far as communication goes, he was awesome with me all year last year. It's been great this year too. So, yeah, having Pat's is really nice because he's such a great leader, such a great communicator, such a great teammate. It's been great.
You talked about the wrestling, but how important is it? Because a lot of teams seem to have changes and injuries on the offensive line, so you all, at least for the most part, Brown, Tooney, yourself, Tracy, and Stephen Indy coming back and being healthy going into the regular season.
Yeah, it's good, and our room has a ton of depth too. We got a ton of talented players, so everybody's working really hard, working their tails off this week, and it promotes competition throughout the room, and that's what makes people better. So it's really great, having all these guys back, and then still having the depth that we have. That's very talented too. So it's been really good.
ESPN came out with that top 100 players list, which ended at 68. Having only been in the league for 1 year, what does that mean to you, and is it motivating to make things at all?
Yeah, for me, I try not to focus on, things like that, any rankings, things like that. For me, it's just coming in, making sure I'm doing my job every day, helping my teammates the best I can, and really that's all I really think about. So, that's cool. That's definitely awesome. For me, it's not my biggest priority, for me. So, I'm coming in, making sure I'm doing my job, and that's about it.
A quick turnaround between week 2 and week 3 preseason, also staying kind of in the regular season to play home. Just generally, what preparation does it take to get ready to play on short notice?
Yeah, everybody's got to be locked in, in that short week. So, I think we did a good job of it last year. I think we did a good job of it, coming from preseason 2 to preseason 3. So, really, it's just about being locked in that week. We have limited reps. We have to lose a day in practice. So limited reps. You're getting a ton of mental reps, though. You're getting a ton of film in. So it's really just about being locked in and making sure you're paying attention.
Do you remember how quickly you went from that game to getting ready for the Chargers on that Thursday night last year? Like, did you watch some of the Chargers like the day after the game, or was it actually hours afterwards?
Yeah, so I kind of watched the game on my own after that Sunday, whenever it was. But and then just from right after that, I watched the game right after the game, and then got right into Chargers film. So it's kind of the same thing we did last week, and it's going to be the same thing this coming Thursday.
I want to ask another ranking question, if that's okay. Some experts have called you all as a cohesive, perhaps maybe the best offensive line in football. What was it like to go from such an unknown last year as a group to now being considered one of the best? And is that something you all want to prove, given what you showed last year?
Yeah, our goal is to be the best offensive line in the NFL. We got a ton of guys up front that are capable of getting that job done. So for us, it's really about going out there and showing the work we've put in, showing how we handle our business, things like that. So that's very cool. It's a big honor for getting that for preseason hype. But for us, it's really just about going out there and proving what we believe we can do.
Speaking about last year, you were kind of thrown into the deep end, right? First weekend, it's fun from year 1, year 2, guys are expected to take that next step. Can you sense that within yourself, and what was that one thing you wanted to work on this offseason?
Yeah, there was a ton of things to work on, whether it be footwork, strength, learning the game more, things like that. So for me, I'm always looking to take a next step, no matter what. Whether that be week to week, day by day, or year by year. So it's really just all about improving your game as much as you can, as frequently as you can.
Thanks, Creed.
Yep.
Thanks, Creed.
All right, there's Creed Humphrey, number 68 on the ESPN Top 100 list of players in the NFL, released last night, along with the NFL wrapping up their Top 100 list. Shocker, Creed did not show up last night in the 1 through 20 Ridiculous. But as he said, doesn't pay attention to those things, and just getting ready to be out there and do his part. And God willing, they're going to be winning some games, and there's a lot of talent on the offensive line and a lot of depth in that room and a lot of really good players. So just getting ready for the season.
I always think it's funny whenever there are questions about stuff like rankings where you kind of know what the answer is going to be a little bit, but then you even have to see how they navigate around it. So for Creed Humphrey in one answer, he went from, I try not to focus on things like that. That's cool. That's definitely awesome. For me, it's not my biggest priority. Like, you don't want to totally bleep on it. You don't want to say, oh, that's nothing nonsense and none of it matters. Because maybe it, is a little bit of respect of your peers or respect around the league, but also I think it's genuine when they're probably not waiting up watching NFL Network at 8 p.m. together last night.
I don't doubt that part. But if they pay attention and want to know where guys are, then it does matter.
Yeah.
Then it does matter.
There's at least a little bit.
Yeah, so when MVS is talking about, he was asked about Patrick Mahomes and says, well, guys don't take that too serious. It's Aaron Rodgers back-to-back MVP. He's number 3. Oh, you knew exactly where Aaron Rodgers was on the list.
He was,
right. Not that big. And people don't really care about that. Aaron Rodgers number 3 on the list. Right. So you guys know where different players are ranked on the list. So it does matter, and totally it matters. If you're ranked by your peers,
you notice.
Yeah.
You notice.
Well, you notice, but it matters to a degree. Even if you say, well, it doesn't matter a lot, it matters. You want to be appreciated and accepted and respected by your peers.
Right.
And if somebody says you're a top 5 player in the NFL and the other NFL players are the ones that are voting on that, not fans, right? It's not a Pro Bowl vote. It's not Vote Omar. It's not all those different things.
Whoa, hold on. What was the problem with Vote Omar?
Nothing at all. It's your peers. It's your other NFL players that have been through it. They know what it's like. They know who the best players are. You can't fool those guys even in practice. They know who the best players are. Then, there's definitely some pride that can go along with that. And if there wasn't pride, then Mahomes wouldn't care that he was even 4th.
Right.
So the fact that he's 8th, that's bothered him.
Beers, why did you stop playing the Quiet 8 that we agreed that we had been playing this entire time? People, we have been playing it the whole show. People just forgot.
Been playing it so quietly.
Well, people have gotten used to it.
Haven't been able to hear it.
People have been able to tune it out. So I'm just saying, turn it back up again to remind people that this is.
So it's been going on the whole time.
Whole time.
Wow. How about that? What are the odds?
This is the only thing on Patrick Mahomes' iPod Shuffle that I assume he still has.
Number 8.
It's just this track on loop.
No, here it is. This is the background track, but it's playing Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill commentary, along with other national analysts about this. Is like Patrick Mahomes has been figured out. How's he going to be able to survive this year without Tyreek Hill? The defenses know what he's doing. This is a big step back for the Chiefs offense here.
And then he's also listening to his favorite deep cut Beatles song, and it's just going, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. This only works if you throw it a break eventually, Jason. Number 9. I'm in the background still. Number 9.
Oh.
Number 9.
I didn't know how long you were going to do that.
Number 9. As long as it takes.
Okay.
As long as it takes for it to be funny. Could be here a while. Number 9. Number 9.
You might have to wait 20 minutes before it gets to the point where people just start laughing because it's so dumb. Also, Mecole Hardman showing up in the middle of MVS's press conference wearing a hat. That's a Slime Time hat, along with a big chain link necklace with a logo NFL Slime Time.
Slime Time.
There you go.
Slime Time.
All right, more Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Somebody was like, what's it like listening to The Zone? Well, you got to take your time to find the funny.
You take your time to find the funny, and maybe eventually it'll come around and sneak up on you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The
913-912-4810. You know, we were talking about the prank that was played on Sky Moore, having a little fun with him, and MVS then getting into more details. Text came in earlier as we were talking about that, Josh, you thought that it was Alex Smith because it was Alex S. as the server. You thought it went deep.
I don't like the thing that happens here where sometimes I say, what if this? And then you come back and later say, Josh, you believed X. I'm like, hold on.
You were actually arguing with me.
I wanted it to be
when I said,
no.
I don't think that's Alex Smith, and you were like, really? Like, that's obvious that it was him, right? People are dumb if they don't think that was Alex Smith that was the server. That's what I heard when you said, what if?
I don't like being between you and Beards in terms of making sure my beliefs are put into proper context.
The way I interpreted it, text comes in, says, as someone who works in the service industry, you can't change the name over the server on top of the receipt.
That's great. That information alone would have been enough for me to think, okay, well, it's probably not that then.
Alex S., just
what a
coincidental.
What a tremendous stroke of coincidence.
Just a coincidence. You know, don't you think? Which is really what her song should have been called.
Coincidence, don't you think?
Is it coincidental?
Don't you think?
Don't you think?
Maybe that's just a background.
Most of those are just pretty coincidental, not necessarily ironic.
It's not necessarily the literary irony in the literary sense of the word, but
more.
I guess that might be ironic.
Coincidence.
Hold on, is it ironic that the entire show isn't it coincidental? Isn't it that the song about irony isn't technically ironic?
Mm-hmm.
That might be ironic, and therefore it is all ironic.
She's playing the long game,
and therefore it's not anymore.
She's chess, we're checkers.
Isn't it ironic? I don't know anymore.
I don't even. I
don't know anymore.
I don't think
the peak of irony.
So, we heard George Karlaftis, and that leads into this topic.
Can I do a quick piece of NFL news just so we don't have to talk about it anymore?
Actually, yes. I meant to have you do this.
I know. But I realized. So I'm learning a little bit. The difference between Jason brushes off a topic that he doesn't actually really want to cover versus Jason just forgets about something 10 seconds after we talked about it.
Absolutely.
And this one's a small enough one that I figured it was worth a shot.
I can tune you out like I do my kids.
Which again, and I'm about as young as they are compared to you, so it makes a lot of sense. Josina Anderson tweeted, my understanding is that Raiders tight end Darren Waller has had a deal in discussion that would make him the highest paid at his position in terms of at least the new money APY metric at $16 million per year per league source. Waller is currently in the midst of changing representation. There was a little blip yesterday that he was expected to practice and then didn't. And the last I saw was somebody saying, was that injury related or perhaps one of those little hold-ins? It sounds like it might be that Waller's trying not to get hurt in practice, another evolution of a little hold in, but that he and the Raiders are pretty close on a new deal, and that would be a massive one.
So they're working on a new deal while he's changing representation?
That is very confusing to me. I do not know. That was the curveball at the end of the tweet. When I got there at the end the first time, I was surprised by that. I wonder if they got close and someone was unhappy would be my
I would guess that would
curiosity.
be Darren Waller would be unhappy if they're changing representation and thinking that guy's not doing enough to get him the money that he wants, so he's changing representation. Does Darren Waller go with somebody who's never done an NFL contract before?
The first 2/3 of that tweet sound like Darren Waller was about to get a new deal.
Mm-hmm.
The movement, the late breaking movement, if you will, makes you wonder what the circumstances would be. So just something that bears watching and wanted to mention as we see if that story takes any other steps this week.
That thing had so much late break that Pitching Ninja just tweeted about it.
Yeah.
That particular tweet.
That was it was a take sword right there. We thought we had the take pretty easy, and all of a sudden looking silly because I actually don't know what the end result of that's going to end up being. But noteworthy in the AFC West certainly.
So we hear George Karlaftis talk in the press conference, and it's something we didn't get to Friday because we were packed with Chiefs and breaking down the night before and things like that. Jeff Chadilla at NFL.com put out the I think 10 beacons of hope for teams. Not like each specific team, and here's a beacon of hope for this team, but like, hey, here are some beacons of hope for teams that you may not have thought would have been there before. Do you know what he chose? Or obviously the Chiefs are one of those that he came up with.
Yeah.
They ended up being number 4. You know what he picked for the Chiefs as a beacon of hope?
You know, I guess context clues, I'm going to guess that it's George Karlaftis.
He's involved.
Okay. Well, then I do not know. Is it the overall youth of the defense? That's a beacon of hope in my heart.
Pass rush. He put pass rush, and this is Jeff Tadia, who's typically pretty skeptical about the right. If Jeff Tadia's talking, I know he's going to be negative about the Chiefs. The fourth beacon of hope in the NFL is the Chiefs pass rush. He writes here, quote, Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach has spent the past 7 months cobbling together a defensive line that can be more effective than what the Chiefs offered in 2021. That unit was a major reason why Kansas City ranked 29th in the NFL in sacks. It still has a disruptive presence in Pro Bowl defensive tackle Chris Jones, but now there's more around him to be optimistic about. Defensive end Frank Clark has disappointed over the last couple of years, but he's slimmed down and talking about playing at a higher level this fall. Rookie George Karlaftis is impressed in practice with his relentlessness and in preseason games with his productivity. He definitely qualifies as somebody who plays with his hair on fire. Finally, the signing of 33-year-old edge rusher Carlos Dunlap after training camp started was a sneaky good move. He operated as a situational pass rusher in Seattle last season and still wound up with a team-high 8.5 sacks. If Dunlap can provide similar disruption in Kansas City, this pass rush will be much improved. So Jeff Tadia's number 4 beacon of hope for teams around the NFL is the Chiefs and the pass rush of how good it can be. And I think it is certainly relative to what the starting point was before training camp, the expectation of said unit or said aspect of a team. And the Chiefs pass rush was obviously viewed as this is going to be the issue this year for this team.
So I still think that the Chiefs pass rush is maybe the most vital of the unknowns on this team. I think it is the most volatile. I think it is maybe the most interesting. We could literally talk about the pass rush for an hour every day, and I think I'd get to September 11th and still feel pretty good about having that discussion on a daily basis. But I have a new analogy to offer.
Great.
You ever throw like a little house party? You're just inviting over some friends. Nothing crazy. This is your adult friends, right? You're not. There's no keg or anything.
Yeah.
We're just having some people over. Maybe you're gonna go ahead and make like dinner, but then you say, hey, bring over some snacks. BYOB. Bring something to drink. If you tell your friends bring something to drink or bring a snack or bring a dessert or whatever, you don't like turn off the water at your house. You don't take all of the things that were already in your fridge and dump them down the sink, right?
You've never been to my house where we have some people over. I told you guys bring your own drinks.
It is.
I tried to tell you.
Bring a canteen. Like
you're not drinking my drinks.
You don't say bring a side and then the only thing that you have to eat is just like a bag of deli meat. Like, oh, well, you guys were supposed to bring bread and cheese and topping. We're going to have sandwiches. I have the meat. You guys bring the side. What's the much miscommunication here?
Don't you know my nickname's Arby's? We have the meats.
I have the meats.
That's it.
Parentheses, but nothing else.
Yes.
Why didn't you bring something other than the meat? That is my analogy for the Chiefs pass rush right now, which is that I think there are at least 3 guys there you're inviting over, and I really do think they're going to bring, I guess Frank Clark won't bring the alcohol anymore, but somebody's going to bring drinks, somebody's going to bring a side, somebody's going to bring a dessert or whatever. I feel pretty good about all of that, but I am still at my house making sure I've got a few Dr. Peppers, chilling in the fridge. Maybe got a couple of adult soda pops back in there, chilling down a little bit. I'm going to have maybe pizzas that we can all pull from because I am not completely sure that I am fully at a beacon of hope place where I trust Frank Clark to bring the groceries. I don't know if I trust Frank Clark to bring a pot roast right now. If all you're asking him to bring is some Oreos and a 2-liter of his favorite carbonated beverage, I'm good with that. Because if you don't bring that, if Mike Dana doesn't bring even a pack of licorice, well, that's all right. We still got all the essentials. I am a little bit worried that we're relying on Frank Clark, Carlos Dunlap, and to a lesser extent George Karlaftis to bring entrees to the potluck here. When I think Chris Jones is the only one that I trust to be out back barbecuing.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jones is going to be doing that. I am still a little bit worried about what everybody else is going to bring to the table. You only even need 1 or 2. Give me 1 good side, 1 good dessert. We're going to be okay. I'm just not sure I'm at beacon of hope level yet. That's my analogy.
It's weird that Frank Clark wouldn't bring the alcohol because he does like taking shots.
Allegedly.
I don't know.
He never got
That
in
was a
trouble.
long-
He
that
never
was
got
a-
in trouble for shooting.
That's a good
his
point. He did
gun.
not fire
He
the
likes
weapon.
having the ability
That's right.
to have shots.
He brings the things that could result in shots.
There it is.
Brings us over. That was a long way of saying that Chris Jones is the only one that you really feel like you know what to expect, and there's a lot of unknowns on this defensive line.
The art of radio.
You are now that's my job, Josh. My job is to do that, and then you go. So you're just saying like you only think Chris Jones is the one you can rely upon, and the other ones are just a big question mark?
Yeah, I guess. When you put it that way, it sounds pretty simple, huh?
No. What about this dinner party you're throwing, huh? How many dinner parties you been to? You really not rely on people to bring some stuff?
And
don't invite the Wilhelms. They're not gonna bring anything.
And it's a murder mystery. Gasp! Who's going to be killed on the first night? The analogy really gets away from me.
Man, what dinner? You go to a dinner party where somebody dies?
Renee actually did do a murder mystery for our
I was
New Year's
there.
Eve party. What was it? Who were you again?
I was the assistant to somebody because we had
That's
too many
right.
characters.
That's right.
Or
That did
not
happen.
enough characters
That was
for
true.
too many people.
You had too many people, and so you had to be somebody's assistant?
Yeah.
They just created a position for you?
Well, I think what it was is we
What
just
happened
like
to Dixon
teamed up.
Butts?
We teamed up or whatever. So I just decided that I was going to be like so he was like a reporter or something, I think it was.
Dixon Butts was a reporter. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Okay. It was
Man.
fun. We had a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast.
It was a good time.
So Beards was just left out. What, did you guys draw straws?
No, I still
to see what it is?
participated.
No,
Right,
no,
I
no.
know, but you were left out in getting a main character, like you were an extra. Were you credited with this role in the movie at the end?
Well, it wasn't a movie, Jason.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you have some people that are uncredited.
Yeah.
Like, you were there as, like, an extra, and they just found a way to give you some sort of a role.
So you know how in like theater productions or whatever, there's like the stand-in for like if somebody.
You were an understudy?
I was the understudy. Yeah.
Okay. You were the guy that, like, as the urban legend goes, that Matthew McConaughey was just simply being Matthew McConaughey when they were getting ready to make Dazed and Confused, so they wrote a part for Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused because they wanted this character in there. You were there, and they're like, well, we got to include Beard somehow. Let's make him an assistant to somebody.
Or maybe he was doing the Harrison Ford thing, where apparently whoever's supposed to play Han Solo just like wasn't working, or Han Solo was doing some like stand-in line reads or whatever, and they were like, all right, Harrison, you be this guy's a sci-fi movie. This probably isn't going to be anything. Whoopsie-doo. Here we are.
Beard's playing the role of Matthew McConaughey. That's what I love about these parties that people get together. I don't bring anything, but we still eat the same amount of food.
And that's what I'm just afraid that the Chiefs pass rush might not have enough snacks.
Makes sense.
You're trying to get
Totally.
too many main course calories out of some puffed Cheetos right now. I just don't know yet.
But maybe it adds some weight when Jeff Chidi is the one saying it, huh? See, when he goes, when he says what's really on his mind and his actual opinion, and people view him as being too negative on the Chiefs, so then when he does this, shouldn't the exact opposite be true, that you would put more weight in this? Because if you were to, see, I don't believe that he just goes out of his way to be negative about the Chiefs, but if you were one to believe that he does that, and then does this, that should give you even more of a beacon of hope.
We need Jeff Quesadillas and not Jeff Cheezias. That's short for Cheez-Its. We need meals and not side dishes.
Man, we should have broke like 2 minutes ago.
I should have never walked back in the studio.
How did we get to that at the end, man?
What do you think Jeff likes at a party? What's his go-to? Somebody text him?
Yeah.
Beards, will you just text Jeff Chadilla and say, what's your favorite side dish to take to a party? Also don't listen to The Zone today. It's not going to make any sense.
I know what Jeff likes at a party. One where you're not at.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So check your bags. Make sure you've declared your sausage. That's my lesson of the week.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Shaffer will be our guest coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We got learn, funniest, and best. In the second segment, Ian Rapper Report on NFL Network talking about some names to keep an eye on that might be traded over the next 24 hours or so. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You know, we've talked about this. The Chiefs have some pieces that might end up being trade-worthy. They also may end up with somebody on their offensive line that is not on their roster right now. But if you're saying, who's the swing tackle on this team, it may not be Jaron Christian or Prince Tanego Winogo.
It's definitely not Roderick Johnson.
Nope, because he's been released.
Do you get to gloat about that, or do I get to gloat about that?
I don't want to gloat about Roderick Johnson being released.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
if somebody were to be gloating, it would be me.
Okay, it would be gloating about me believing the Roderick Johnson hype.
Yeah, and
I genuinely can't remember where we started.
Yeah, well, it was Roderick Johnson was the starter at left tackle at the beginning of camp, and I said there's zero chance that he's even second string on this team.
Right, and I thought that was actually the belief of some faith in him.
Yeah.
I kind of think it might have been a little bit still.
I felt like he was just placeholder at that time. Then he got pulled from the game on Thursday night. So not a surprise that they let him go. That he completely didn't he. It was his block on the fourth down that was stopped short. Was one that he had messed up. But unfortunately, the guy goes from starting left tackle when Orlando Brown was out to release the day before they even got to get down to 53.
2 days before.
Yeah, that's right. Ian Rapper report saying 2 names to keep an eye on that could be traded. Both offensive linemen, both tackles/guards.
Yeah.
Tevin Jenkins of the Bears. There's been talk about them trading him. And the Raiders are shopping Alex Leatherwood. Guys drafted at right tackle, but are they better right guards? They've failed at one position already.
It's the
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Final hour on a Wednesday, hump day edition of the show. Speaking of that, Mick Shaffer joins us, KSHB 41 sports director. Hey, guy. Huh? How you doing?
Humping away.
Yeah.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, welcome back here in the Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll get a Learn Funniest Best coming up later on in the hour. Mick Shaffer hanging out with us for the last hour of the show on this Monday. You know, 2 Mondays from now, we'll be talking Chiefs and breakdown of what happened in that Arizona Cardinals game.
Is that the math on it? Remember last night on Sound Off when I was like,
you said
at the
17 days.
very end, I'm like, oh, Chiefs coming up, and I tried to do the math real quick, and it should have been easy.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday.
Yeah, you said 17 days.
I had
and
17
I was like,
days.
I think it's 14.
Yeah.
But
it was 17 from Thursday, and I said that after the post-game show, or on the post-game show after the game. But then days had transpired, Jason, since then. So 3 of them, to be exact. So then it was 14. Now it's 13. And Swanee was on. It was literally the last thing that was said on that 30-minute show.
Worst.
And cat's out of the bag. We record it.
What?
I know. Oh, I told Swanee, I'm like, oh, I screwed that up. We have to retape the entire thing.
The whole show, top to bottom.
We'll get it in post-production. It's fine.
Did Jason's takes get any better in the second time around? Or
No.
No. See, couple things.
He thought, he's talking about Ben Franklin being on Mount Rushmore, his favorite president.
Greatest president in American history. Thank you, Jason.
Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton, all those presidents.
Yes, he absolutely is.
You can't be on money if you're not a president.
Right.
I don't know what Aaron Burr has to do with that, but yeah, they're dead presidents, not dead founding fathers.
It's called dead presidents. The worst is when you say something like that and then you can't come back and fix it. Like when you say something going to the end of the show on a Friday, it's like, oh.
It's the worst. It's going to be out there.
All right. Cool.
Did you get one wrong on Friday? Is this your
No,
way
I'm
of
just saying just in general. Like it sucks. Like I could tweet it, but then people that are listening, it doesn't matter anyway. But it's funny you said, days transpired. We were at the Royals game on Saturday night with my brother and some friends, and one of his buddies was telling a story about his grandfather, and he's saying something like, well, he's 85 years old, and my brother goes, he gets older every time you tell the story. And he goes, yeah, every time as I tell the story, he does age. He's like, now he's like 85 years old. But when I told the story last year, he was like 84 years old. He's like, that's typically what happens, is that he ages as I tell the story.
Big fish tail, my gosh.
Yes.
Exaggerating it more and more every year.
What is the deal, man? But yeah, enjoyed it. Loved seeing Swanee last night. That was great.
That was awesome. He brought his family out, and they hit the plaza afterward.
Cool.
And
good idea.
Matt Derrick just pinch hitting at the last moment. It was so funny because Nate couldn't do it, and so at the last moment, so I texted Nick, our producer. I'm like, who should we try and get? He's like, Matt Derrick is always available. So I texted Matt. I said, I'm just a guy standing in front of a phone texting you, asking if you'll be on Sound Off today. And he sent me back a GIF of, what's her name on Jerry Maguire, the actress.
I'll help
Renee
you.
Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger, yeah.
It said, you had me at hello.
Beautiful.
That's the GIF.
That's so great. So it started with you setting up a group text message with me, Swanee, and Nate, and saying, all right, here's our panel tonight. We got Seren, Mike Swanson, and Nate. And I'm like, I just talked to you on Friday, plus Seren's not on this text thread. So,
you are.
So I replied and said, not too often people mistake me for Seren. And so then you're like, oh, that's right, my bad. So it went from Seren, Swanee, and Nate to eventually being Jason, Swanee, and Matt Derrick. So at least Mike Swanson was the
It was Swanee Sound Off. I mean, that's what it was really about last night.
Yeah, it's just he's
the
going
other
to
two
be
were just decoration.
He's going to be good no matter who you put around him. He's like Patrick Mahomes. He'll make everybody better around him.
Well, and it was great, a perfect week to have him on because I knew he had connections with the Chiefs. I knew his mom had been a secretary forever. And as he mentioned, back in the day, the late 60s, they didn't have 900 or 1,000 members like they do now, or even more, of that organization. It was like 32 players, 6 coaches, a couple secretaries, you had some front office people. That was it. It was kind of a small family, and Bobby Bell talked about that last week when we were asking about Lenny. And so he got to know all those guys well, and he was a ball boy, a water boy for the team. And back then, they traveled the ball boy. And so he said he was like a junior or senior at Raytown High School. He had to get permission slips to travel with the Chiefs because he was going to miss a day or two.
That's amazing. And he tells the story like, so obviously things are much different now than it was when they were when Lenny was playing. But so we see Patrick Mahomes and the guys go down to Dallas and hang out together, and they're throwing routes and doing all that stuff and warming up and getting to know each other, stay in shape. So Swanee tells the story last night about how he's like, yeah, I've caught many a football and run routes for Len Dawson back in the day. Denny Matthews told the story. It was that day when it came out that morning that Len had passed away. So that night, Denny Matthews telling the story about how Len approached him one summer and was like, hey, on your off days, you want to go and, just go and run some routes? You played football in college. You want to go run some routes at William Jewell? So he was like, for like four summers, Denny Matthews was like one of the wide receivers for Len Dawson to warm up in the off season. Like, these guys are down in Dallas doing all this stuff.
Justin Watson of a different era was Denny Matthews.
And Len Dawson goes to Denny and was like, hey, you want to come and work out with me? I got to keep my arm in shape, and you played football in college. You want to run some routes for me? Yeah, cool. Let's go up to William Jewell on a day off, and I'll throw the football around. So Len Dawson and Denny Matthews just hanging out, running some routes, playing catch with the football.
Should we let Patrick Mahomes know that we were both receivers in high school?
You don't think I've already sent him the video of that catch?
The one catch.
20 times. I mean, I sent it to him and Brittany and Jackson and Randy and Sterling.
I mean, I ended my career with like 30 catches.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for Caldwell.
That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's 29 more than me. So
Jason's huddle link is actually just a link back to a Vine, original Vine. So, hey, I can get my whole high school career here done in 6 seconds or less. Mick might need a full TikTok.
It's just a TikTok. It's just a quick one. So how long are the Vines? I'm sorry.
6 seconds. Yes. 6 seconds for a Vine.
That's typically enough for me.
That might get you there. Yeah. I should really see if I can find anything to have a nice edited to music TikTok for Mick's 30 receptions and my long snap trick shot video. I could do long snapping dude perfect. That feels like a good evolution for me.
Did you have video? Did you have music in the background of your TikTok?
I'm gonna have to.
Or your huddle?
I'm gonna have to do it now, but I'm gonna have to do it. I was Jason, I wasn't trying to get recruited, all right? I was trying to get out of high school without having my spine telescope.
Did you have a huddle?
No, we didn't have huddle. Okay. We had old school coaches. Now the playoffs, I think our coaches would drive to an opponent of a past opponent of the team we were going to play, and they would exchange videotape.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But the regular season was like, we do what we do, fellas, okay?
Right.
We don't worry about the other team.
Yeah.
Which is a bad way to play football.
We work on ourselves.
You need to scout. You need to find out the strengths and weaknesses of the other team.
Yeah.
It's great. And my sons play big high school football here,
right.
And it's an hour and a half of film each night on their own after they're watching it with the team and with their position groups, and they know every position inside and out from the other team.
There are very, very few times in my life that I've watched film.
I love it.
I mean, I don't mind but I'm talking about we didn't do it in high school. Yeah. The coaches did when, like you said, they would exchange tapes and then you would run scout team.
Yeah.
So I would always be given what the other team is going to be doing because I was running scout team there. So that's what I would be doing. I'm like, hey, shouldn't I be running some routes? Nah, you're good. You're good. Just this is their offense. Okay, you're going to do this for us. Okay. Now the players are much better than you, so we need you to try to be a little bit better and faster, which isn't going to help our goods, our number ones.
I would watch with my son because they're not allowed to give out their huddle passcodes to anybody, even parents. Otherwise, I'd be on them all day long. So I'd watch with him, and every little and this is interior lineman, right? And he'd be like, "All right, look where the guard's lined up." I'm like, next to the tackle? He's like, "No, he's back like 6 inches. You can tell he's going to be pulling." I'm like, sure enough, he's pulling.
Yeah.
Right, and then it's okay with they leaning back. Okay, this is going to be a pass play, and okay, this guy's bird dogging, and okay, this guy's pulling here, he's blocking down, so I've got to do this. It's I loved it, and so I probably would have hated it in high school. Like, oh God, let me just go out and play. Just throw him the ball.
Oh, dude, I consume as much of that stuff on Twitter with the guys who have played the game, like Jeff Schwartz breaking down an offensive line block. When Kurt Warner did the 18-minute breakdown of Patrick Mahomes about when the anonymous defensive coordinator that said, he's a one-read guy and then plays street ball after that. So Kurt Warner then went and spent 18 minutes breaking down like 4 or 5 different plays just from the Chiefs and Bills game, and just how phenomenal so many parts of that. It was just, I mean, it's well worth your time. A lot of times it's like 17 minutes, I ain't watching it. But it is 17 minutes of football porn with Kurt Warner about Patrick Mahomes and like, well, the defense is doing this, and Patrick Mahomes recognizes this, so he knows that the defense is going to be in this. And because of this, this is your first read. And then as he's going through the play, it'll be like, okay, so now Mahomes, and he stops. He's like, so he sees right here, this cornerback, this foot is going this way. So he knows this read is going to be over here now. And you can see as he gets to the back step, boom, he's got to be looking over here based on this safety, and he does it right on time. Throws the ball, boom, hits the receiver. This is exactly what you wanted him to do, and it's like 18 minutes of just that. It's unbelievable.
Well, you just went 18 minutes.
Speaking of football porn, we have what can only be described as a catastrophe. South Carolina's live rooster mascot will now be known as the General.
What? That's too close to the Colonel.
As you were.
What was he before?
Well, they were considering several options, including the Cock Commander. Short for Gamecock. Just to make sure we're clear on that one. And I really liked Marco Pollo.
That was the one that I liked, too.
Marco Pollo is very funny.
It's really good.
Marco Pollo. Cockadoodle Dude was another name for him as well. But Cock Commander, I thought for sure would win out. So it turns out they didn't leave it up to a vote.
Yeah, apparently not. Because that was running away with the poll.
At least Kansas Speedway, that left it up to a vote, actually went with Bushy McBush Race.
Yes. And bless them for doing that.
So at least
Marco
they
Pollo
stayed true.
is what it should have been.
Marco Pollo is awesome. Then you can just Marco the Cock.
I remember when I first discovered South Carolina. Well, then I wasn't I wasn't
Like
an
Lewis and
explorer.
Clark?
I didn't
Like-
discover it.
What
When
was-
I
what
learned
was your
about
pass out of
South
beard?
Carolina.
Yep, good. All right, good.
Did you? Was it from the hats back in the day?
No, it was 1985.
The coonskin cap backwards is the
The-
hat he was wearing
No,
at the time.
I'm talking about the hats back before your time.
I'm
Brisco.
sure. I just have Mick now exploring the frontier.
Do you remember the hats that were
Yes.
like the South Carolina, but it just
Yes.
said Cox?
Hey.
And then the one that was Morehead
If you
State,
let
but
me
it just
get to my
sorry, go ahead.
story.
Sorry,
Hey, Mick,
my bad.
when you discovered South Carolina, you were like Davy Crockett. Back to your story.
Moving the microphone away from my next time.
1985. We all remember the Gator Bowl that year.
Yeah, of course.
Oklahoma State.
Loved it.
South Carolina. My aunt and uncle took me to Jacksonville, Florida. They'd taken me the year before because they also played in the Gator Bowl against Florida State. We lost. I got interviewed by a Florida TV station, kind of crying. I wish I had that tape. But I'm 8 in 1985, and we play South Carolina, and I find out their name's the Gamecocks. And I was just old enough to realize that I probably shouldn't be saying the last syllable of that word. And I was just in awe. I couldn't believe that a school let that name be on shirts, and I saw the hats, of just the Cocks, and I'm like, what is going on?
There were 3
sinners. We better win.
There were 3 main hats that were very popular at that time with whatever brand that was, whatever brand that put out those hats. But they were like the same sort of kind of thing. South Carolina was very popular.
Starter.
Morehead State was very popular.
Yes.
And Oregon State, very popular.
See why?
I don't remember what those hats were, what the brand was. But yeah, South Carolina was definitely one of them.
I just had the beginning of the muscle reflex to reach for my keyboard and start Googling to try to find those hats for you.
Don't do it.
And it's going to be a risky click. I'm not going to search on Twitter for
They were
sure.
snapbacks. I mean, it wasn't like a fitted.
Yeah. What was the other
They
one?
were all
Morehead.
they were all white, right? They were white hats, and then they would just have like the name.
Yes.
And then even
Yes.
underneath, it would say like Cox, but underneath it would be like University of South Carolina.
And
it'd be Morehead, and then very small underneath it, State.
I had Pokes, a white one that said Pokes on it, which was kind of dirty, right? Kind of edgy.
Right.
But then it was just,
yeah.
These from the 90s?
Yeah.
Like so like vintage
I mean, you can call them vintage if you
Starter,
want,
maybe.
but yeah. I didn't see any on Saturday night at the I Love the 90s concert after the Royals game, so that was
Oh, how
disappointing.
good. Oh, this is probably in the LFB territory, but if not, we got to know how Vanilla Ice was.
Vanilla Ice was good.
Okay.
Vanilla Ice was
Nice,
fun.
nice baby?
He only did a couple of his songs that I know. I mean, he did,
There are only a couple.
Well, yeah, Go Ninja, Go
Yes,
Ninja.
he did the ninja rap.
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Play that funky music, white boy. And then, of course, he's Vanilla Ice with Ice Ice Baby. But Blackstreet was there, and that was awesome. You had Tretch for Naughty by Nature. We got a little OPP. And then Color Me Bad was there. They let off, and that was pretty cool.
Are we thinking of the ones here that have just like the big
Yes,
lines?
that's it
Okay.
right there.
So these are, boy, what is that logo? That G there? Does that? I had Wichita State one of these. It just said like Shockers, which also not bad, I guess.
You know what?
Boy, are they all dirty? Are they all a little
Shockers,
dirty?
I should have. Shockers was another one. That
How about down here, Mick? Oh, that's interesting. Pennsylvania Military School has kind of a fun acronym, and then we have Troy University, the Trojans.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What is that?
Oh, here's your Pokes one right here. Boy, yeah, these are iconic. We got to get these back into the back into the mix a little bit.
I
wonder
forgot
if they're
about Wichita
all-
State. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Shockers was a very
I have
popular
one of these that is
You
covered
actually
in-
have one?
Yes, I have one of these at home right now that is covered in signatures from baseball players from the Wichita State baseball team, presumably from like, I don't know, 2002. That would have been the time that I was.
Was it say it's not Jamie Bluma?
Oh,
you didn't get a Jamie Bluma.
The game is the brand. Apparently,
The game. Okay.
The G stands for.
All right.
They've got to keep making these. These have come back. I've seen some of these again, like in public more recently. So I think these have got to be making their round.
Off on the format. So
Yeah.
now that we got to those hats, we can go ahead and move
Thank
right
you
on
for-
to the next thing that we planned this morning when we got together and planned out this entire hour with one Mick Shaffer. Had a good time, though, on Sunday Sound Off last night. It was cool. And we had the question that they asked everybody, which was, the players that had the surprise roster spots. And I thought there would be three that would be used. And the one that Matt Derrick used was a surprise. My first one that I sent to Nick was Justin Watson. And I said, well, let me know if everybody chooses Justin Watson.
That
because
was
that's
gonna be the obvious one.
I said, let me know if everybody chooses Justin Watson, then I'll go a different route. And then he said, Swanee's going Justin Watson. I said, okay, let me know what Matt does, and then I can go. I've got different, choices. I said, I may go Jalen Watson. And he's like, Matt didn't go either Watson. I was like, okay, cool. Give me Jalen Watson. I thought Pacheco would be one.
He could have qualified. I mean, he's a
He would've
7th round pick.
Absolutely qualified. Like Jalen Watson's a 7th round pick. Like if you'd have said, like if you're sitting here right now and like they took a 7th round running back and then Ely, who was from Ole Miss, that, during rookie minicamp, it was like, oh, I kind of like this guy more than Pacheco. I think this guy might. And then they moved him to wide receiver. So if the start of training camp or, whatever, if you'd have said, all right, on August 29th, your running backs are going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, Ronald Jones, and Derek Gore. Nobody would have been shocked by that a 7th round running back that averaged less than 4 yards per carry at Rutgers didn't make the squad. It would have been really surprising if you said Justin Watson was on the squad. And I would have been pretty surprised if you said that Jalen Watson makes the squad because they were throwing numbers at the position. They brought in, they traded for Lonnie Johnson. They already had DeAndre Baker. You knew Josh Williams was making the squad. Fenton and Snead and McDuffie, there's 4. How's a 7th rounder going to make the squad? And he's the 5th guy. Like, I think that's really surprising.
Yeah, and you still, I think he would be ahead of, Najee Johnson in that defensive backfield. And he still has a shot.
And ahead of,
the team.
like, it could be DiCaprio Bootle, it could be Chris Lamons, it could be Najee Johnson as the 6th. But I feel pretty strong that the 5th is Jalen Watson, which is, I thought he might have been 7th or 8th, or get him into practice squad if you feel like there's some future for him. But those are guys that
Spags went out of his way to mention Watson last time. Somebody mentioned
Williams.
with Fenton's injury. Hey, so Josh Williams seemed like the next guy. And Spags was like, and Watson. Like, he doesn't volunteer young guys into tiers up like that very often. I've also found a bunch of these. Mick, this is just a random collection of 8 of those hats online. Anything that jumps out to any of them in particular? This is the hats online at thegamecaps.com.
Okay. So they still sell these?
Still sell them.
Are they now vintage?
Yes. 7 are available. One is sold out.
This is just the B
South Carolina.
season
South Carolina sold out.
They're all in stock. You cannot get a South Carolina one right now. They are currently sold out. I'm going to investigate, see if I can figure out why that one's selling better than the rest.
Isn't it odd? Well, because they're going through the mascot name.
That must be it.
It's very much in the news right now,
Yes,
so people are.
that's got to be it. Anyway,
So,
sorry, I just needed to make that.
Still being sold, so that's still going strong. So good for them. So they came up with General.
The General. It's a reference to somebody reflecting on the Gamecocks' namesake, General Thomas Sumter. We're like General Thomas Bumter.
Nice fort.
The game.
So anyway, roster spots.
Sorry,
from players that we were surprised by. Interesting.
I like the Watson hype. Both of them. I like both Watson hypes.
All Watsons.
But
make
anyway,
the team.
Matt Derrick went with Darius Harris. And I thought that was I thought he threw off a little bit.
He gave us that two weeks ago right here. That was his ice to break.
But I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay, Darius Harris is going to be on the out. Maybe you know what? Looking back, maybe I should have. If they've got two guys that were returning in Bolton and Gay, they're going to be your starters. They drafted a guy in Chanel, and then they signed Carter to a guaranteed deal, and then Elijah Lee comes in, who's a stud special teamer. Yeah, I could see that. I guess
I think he's going to be one of the final 6 or 8 on the roster. And
Darius Harris, I think, is the backup Mike right now. I think he might be like if
a great third preseason game.
If Bolton goes down, it might be Darius Harris that immediately slides in, not Leo Chanel, because I mean he had that. If it wasn't for the just wrong place at the wrong time with Josh Williams' left hand when he is going to jam at the line of scrimmage and his hand gets caught in the face mask of the receiver, Darius Harris would have had one of the best possessions I've ever seen. For
an immaculate possession, almost.
Yes.
Well, it was an immaculate series of downs, right? Because
it was 3 straight
tackles.
It was unbelievable,
and
man.
all 3 were blown up. It wasn't like he's dragging a guy down 8 yards downfield.
All 3 were read and react and get there, make the tackle when you get there, and it would have been punting after sniffing out the screen and then going and making the tackle.
I think they scored on that possession, didn't they?
I actually don't remember.
I think they ended up driving all the way down, and I remember, what was that penalty?
Yeah.
I think they did score at the end of that drive because Williams had another shot to try to get one of those tackles as the running back was taking to the end zone. He couldn't do that either.
Williams
it was
had a rough day.
Rough day for Williams.
He had a rough day on Thursday. Luckily for him, he was really good in preseason, really good in training camp, and good in the first couple of games. But you know what?
And they somehow called that a running into the kicker.
Well, it's not the plant leg.
Hit the outside leg. Kicker just wobbled.
It's the if you hit the kicking leg, it's got to be pretty
I feel
egregious.
like that shouldn't be a hard and fast rule. I mean, I feel like you could just
it isn't a hard and fast rule.
Bury a guy hitting the kicking leg.
It isn't a hard and fast rule. You sort of, if it's egregious hitting the kicking leg, it'll be roughing. But if you barely touch the plant leg, it's roughing.
It's not called softly running into the kicker.
If you're a punter or a kicker, why don't you immediately get your kicking leg down? Don't hold it up there. Get it right down. These are both plant legs. They're both on the ground.
Because it's different. The plant leg is the plant. It's been established as the plant leg.
I know, but he's on the ground. It's not like it's the plant leg. It's because that leg is on the ground.
It's the leg you plant with to then swing the leg that is actually the one doing the kicking.
But if you have the other leg on the ground, doesn't matter what it's been doing.
Double
it's on
planted.
the ground. It's going to hurt. It's going to be dangerous.
Nope, but only one is actually in the ground planted. The other one's on the surface.
Really get longer
cleats. 6 inches below.
It's a few, yes. And you can see the topsoil around it as well. There's some
really good punters will get like a foot deep.
There's a little plant food around it. You can really tell the difference between the two. It's like a pivot foot, only it's for plants.
Tommy Townsend gets the heel of his plant foot jammed in. There's actually a huge divot. It's part of the job for the holder afterwards is to patch up. If the personal protector goes back and patches it up, the holder patches it up on a field goal, and you got to make sure the field. That's happened to Soldier Field.
You got the little kid that runs out and gets the kicking tee on kickoffs. You got a little kid that runs out and just pours sand into the plant leg divot that you have there for punters and kickers.
The finer part of the game, if you watch the ball, you won't see all this, but you go back and you grind film like Jason does, you're going to learn about the secret plant.
It's exactly. I was just watching film of Harrison Butker.
Just Harrison Butker.
He was the one breaking down different things,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, okay, now I see what he's talking about with the plant leg that actually goes into the ground.
And this is one of those things that coming out of the combine you got to really look for. Is Harrison Butker's plant leg is actually 4 inches longer than his kicking leg, which just means more ground to drive it into. The more you know.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All true too.
I did not know that.
Say that, hey listeners, say that to one of your friends next time you're talking about football.
Turns out Justin Medlock's plant leg was actually 2 inches shorter than his chicken
That was
leg.
before the kicking analytics really came in, though. They didn't realize things like that.
Found out the whole time he was kicking with the wrong foot. I was like, the guy was right-footed the whole time. Didn't even realize it. How about that?
Yeah.
Mason Crosby still going.
It doesn't about that.
I'm just
Still
watching
going.
you two and see how long you guys are going to go with this.
Yeah, neither one of us are good at giving up on a bit, and so that has been.
We'll get used. We'll figure it out. Well, we'll get to the point of when it's
soon.
like.
I would say soon we'll figure it out.
Probably
within this segment. Maybe not. Maybe within this show.
No, give me like a caution flag to wave here.
Beards is literally going to start making one right now. Jason's caution flag is whatever Beards' expression is, but I can't see it, so I can't even witness
You don't need
that.
a caution flag. You need the one more lap flag. Like, all right,
Hey, wrap it up. That's
it's
it.
almost
Yeah.
over. He can play the Academy Award music.
But sometimes Jason's final lap is like 20 miles long. It's not a mile and a half track.
See, I
Okay.
think that's getting way more reputational than it is actual real. Like last
No,
night,
it's not.
last night Sunday, but like for stories, right? So last night Sunday sound off, we all had the same amount of time in one of our answers. And then Mick goes, Matt, you're up now. Jason took all your time. I'm like, no,
You
whatever.
kinda did.
No,
Well,
I
the
didn't.
final thoughts.
So-
Remember the final thoughts at the end? We had a minute. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right,
And I
15
went-
seconds for each of you. You handed off to Matt with 30 seconds.
But you took 10.
I did not. I took 3.
You took 10.
Final thought time. Jason Anderson, what's your final thought?
But Nick also says that he doesn't actually say what the legit time is. It's always got to throw in like a 5 or 6 second buffer. So I handed it off to Matt Derrick at like 35 or 36 when you handed it to me around 50. That would be 15
It was
seconds.
55. I gave it to you. I
feel
looked
like-
up. At 31, you were handing over to Matt.
I feel like I got a Draymond Green technical. I think that was way more reputational than it was earned there. I
Wow.
think that understandable. I get why the technical is called. It's probably earned over the years, but that one was more reputational.
You know how many Watsons we talked about on the show last night? 4.
Tom, Jalen, Justin,
and
Randy.
He
Jackson
mentioned
Heights own.
Randy Watson.
Watson sound
He
off.
doesn't even
Sunday,
know.
Sunday
You
Watson.
probably haven't seen Coming to America, have you?
You don't get the
No,
Randy
I've,
Watson.
I've lived in America my whole life,
You don't get the Randy Watson.
so actually,
You don't get the Randy Watson reference.
Randy Jackson. I'm familiar with American Idol. That's sort of my coming to America, Randy.
Randy Jackson is not from Jackson Heights.
Like Josh is one of my kids. I don't get mad at him. I get so disappointed.
Yeah, I typically get mad.
Hey, what's up? This is Vanilla Ice, and you're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
The more dead puppies there are in the world, the more that's going to dilute the cuteness of the puppies that we have right now. Less puppies means more cute, okay? They said it in Incredibles.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let's get to learn funniest best from the weekend. What we learned, what the funniest was, and what the best from the weekend was. What did we learn? What was funniest? What was the best? I don't know. We'll all find out together, won't we? What
Sure,
we
it'll
all
be funny,
think.
maybe, unless it's not.
I don't know. It might be the best, unless it's the second or third or fourth best.
As long as we learn something.
We all learned something. So let's start there. I was out at the game on Saturday night out at Kauffman Stadium.
We get it,
and,
Jason. You go to sporting
it's
events.
the
Oh my God.
I love the
Sporting
90s.
events. Okay.
And much to my surprise and also being impressed, the kiss cam is going on there every game.
Oh, yeah, dude, congrats.
Did it
And
get
no,
you? Did you a little smooch? Okay.
front and center, Kevin Holmes.
Yeah, it was KSHB 41 night.
And
there, too.
and let me tell you, he was not shy.
Wow.
He was not shy about the kiss
His girl
cam.
was there. Yeah.
How'd that go? Went.
I will tell you that he was
I
not
need some
shy about
video.
the kiss cam.
Yeah, they had to be rolling on that somewhere.
Because
I feel
it was like, oh, it's Kevin. Oh, it's
Whoa.
Kevin.
All right, Kevin.
Oh, it's still Kevin.
Kevin, come up for air, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Catch your breath, Kev.
That was
I
my,
didn't see it.
I think it was the hump day cam.
That was my Home Alone, Kevin. Yeah, and then they went back to, there was...
They got a curtain call?
Yeah, they had a curtain call, not on that, but later
okay.
on when it was like the dance thing or the dance cam or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it went back to your group, Mick, your group. Why weren't you there, by the way?
Doing some other stuff. You'll find out in Learn Funniest Best.
Okay,
Whoa,
cool.
excellent.
So I learned that Kevin really likes the kiss cam.
Wow.
That's what I learned
Kevin
about
likes
Kevin Holmes.
the cam. Any camera.
Mhm.
Kevin likes Kevin.
The camera seems to find Kevin.
Get you somebody that looks at you like
Here's the thing.
Kevin looks at Kevin.
Turns out the camera likes Kevin as well. It seems to find him wherever he is.
Symbiotic relationship right
That's exactly
there.
right.
I learned just this morning that our friend Alec Lewis from The Athletic is going to Minnesota.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Alec.
Why, Alec? Why?
And you might say, going to cover, staying in the division. Wow, Royals to Twins.
Oh.
Nope. He is moving to cover the Minnesota Vikings for The Athletic. I'm very happy for Alec.
I am too, but why?
It makes me very sad for all of us who relied on him for some excellent Royals coverage. It's I'm hoping that he's excited about it, and it seems like a very exciting move. And someday we're all going to look back and we're going to say, wow, remember when that little glassed young boy was covering the Royals for the Athletic? That bespectacled child was just a young pup in the industry.
I don't like it. It feels a very selfish move by him.
It really is.
Like
And
almost like he's only worried
considered
about
us.
his career.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't finish. What I learned is that Alec Lewis is a selfish jerk.
Yeah.
That's what I learned this week.
I knew that already.
Glad you first learned. You just now learning that. We've
I
been
was
here for a while.
I know. I'm sorry. I was late to the party. I wanted to believe, and now we know. Alec's a jerk.
I guess I'm happy for Alec.
Yeah, congratulations,
Alec,
Alec, on
horrible
this
for
incredible
Aaron
film.
Ladd. That's his best friend. They go to the Peanut all the time.
Yeah,
they
never
really?
invited me. So I
No,
guess
just
hey,
those
I
two.
also learned that they're both selfish jerks. How about that?
Yeah, that's Aaron's only male friend in town.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's all I can tell is I haven't made that jump.
You think Aaron's just going to be a stowaway with Alec when he makes it to?
Oh, hey Mick,
He might. Guys need somebody else. Guys need a NBC affiliate sportscaster up here in Minnesota.
You think I'm gonna get a call up maybe now? Maybe Aaron will begrudgingly. Maybe I'll be the bro Hearn of his bro lineup.
Are you gonna apply?
It's like, hey man, you can take a couple at bats here and there, but only
Be
because
the bro Hearn.
I'm the bro Hearn of the lineup. Maybe.
I think
Very
you need to
good.
be pretty unattached
Yeah, I was going to say.
to keep up with Aaron.
That's what it takes to finally
Yes.
get the invite from Aaron. That's all.
Yes.
So Renee is the placeholder for when Aaron finally calls you.
I've been emotionally unavailable for all of my friends as long as I've had them, so that'll be really easy.
Good to know. But yes, congratulations to Alec Lewis, who is now covering the Minnesota Vikings. Mick, what'd you learn?
I learned that Brian Doyle Murray lives in Kansas City.
Oh, really? You just learned that?
I didn't know that.
I found that out a couple of years ago. Jamie Bluma was talking about it.
Been a while, yeah.
But yeah, I was very surprised to learn that too. Like, I don't know where he lives. I haven't gone to his house yet.
Good. His wife has ties here, and that's cool. He's one of the greatest character actor ever. You and I can have this conversation.
Yes,
'cause
we
I'm sure
can.
he hasn't seen Caddyshack or any of the
Yeah.
Vacations. He went from the guy eating watermelon in Vacation to becoming Clark's boss.
That's right.
In Christmas Vacation.
Mr. Shirley. It's a beastly,
Bill
bulging
Murray's older
man.
brother.
He's
in a
the Flying Dutchman
blue
from SpongeBob.
leisure suit, and his plates
He
were from
is.
Kansas.
Of course, you would know him from SpongeBob. You
I know
child.
him. I know him. He's the voice. I did not know.
Santa! I know him.
I did not know that he was the voice of the Flying Dutchman from SpongeBob. This is my contribution. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
he
he's
was
a lot of
also,
things.
people forget he was Jack Ruby in JFK.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yes.
People do forget that.
He's in Adventure Time.
I believe. Check this.
Check it.
He made one appearance in the PBS show Word Girl.
Wasn't he one of the locals holding up the groundhog in Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
With his brother Bill?
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
That's funny. I've seen Groundhog Day.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
I just want to get my little bit of credit where I
job.
can.
Nice job.
In a lot of films with his brother, like, of course, Caddyshack, Scrooged.
He was in Ghostbusters.
Yep. The Razor's Edge.
Yeah.
And yes, he is the Flying Dutchman.
He was Cousin Edgar and Stuart Little.
Of course, that's your...
Oh, he was Santa Claus in the Cat Dog TV show.
Yeah, everybody knows this.
Beards, I didn't think about this.
Think the show was going to get more sophomoric when Corey left.
Actually,
it's not sophomoric; it's fourth gradish.
It's just sophomore.
Right.
It's just sophomore instead of sophomoric.
Right.
He was in the Brave Little Toaster and Dr. Dolittle as voices.
In the original Brave Little Toaster?
Sorry, that's the Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Dang
Thank you,
it.
Beards.
My wife's maybe favorite actor is Bill Murray. So she was very excited when she learned that Bill Murray's brother lives here, on the off chance that maybe we would be at a place with Brian Murray.
I believe he was at the Royals game Saturday.
And then Bill would be there as well.
Well, I saw them at
Brian and Bill?
Yes, at Monarchs. It was T-Bones at the time. A couple years ago, they were doing that documentary on semi-pro and minor league baseball. I think they own a Cape Cod team or have investments in them. And so I saw them there, and then I didn't know that Brian lived here at the time. Joel Murray, another brother, is an actor. He was in Shameless and in Mad Men, and there's been lots of stuff.
It's interesting the connections we've had to the Murray family without ever actually meeting them, because Bill Murray's son, Luke Murray, was an assistant coach at Louisville when we lived there.
Crazy.
Remember when Bill Murray had like the Xavier hats on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He coached with Chris Mack.
Yeah.
Well, when Chris Mack got the job at Louisville, he brought Bill Murray's Luke Murray, his son, as part of the coaches, and then Bill Murray would be at basketball games wearing Louisville hats, and it's like, never got to meet him though. My wife is a huge Bill Murray fan, and now we live in Kansas City, and this is where his brother lives, so we've been around his son and his brother, yet not him.
And his grandson, Eric, was a defensive back for the Chiefs for a while.
Everybody
quickly here, I
remembers
also
this.
learned that
everybody knows that Eric Murray.
I'm going to have to cheer for 3 teams on Thursday: Oklahoma State, Missouri, and Purdue, because Purdue will be wearing Lynn Dawson patches this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
I saw that today.
Heck yeah, that's really cool. Beards, what'd you learn?
My learned was that LeBron James has been an active NBA player more than he has a mere mortal human being.
Oh, okay.
By the number of days.
18 years and 18 years, roughly, or something like that?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I also learned that Juju Smith-Schuster, Rashad Fenton, Carlos Dunlap, and Trent McDuffie all practiced today. No Frank Clark, Blake Bell, Matt Bushman, or Leo Chanel.
Okay, no Leo Chanel.
We're still on learn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's what we all learned.
It wasn't very funny, so I made that my double learned.
What's your funniest?
It was the Sky Moore prank. We talked about that earlier in the show, but having the moment of $22,000 and change, card gets declined, call your financial advisor.
Call your parents.
Call your parents.
He called his parents first.
His IG live afterwards was very good, where he was talking about, like, well, I knew that I was supposed to have the money. They said it was declined, and so I don't know. They said that he had to deal with that for a little while. Pretty good prank. MVS picked up the tab, and then from his presser today, it sounded like it might have been an MVS a thing that he brought from him being the rookie at one point in Green Bay. So a good prank, a good little very soft rookie hazing, and just a little Easter egg that the server's name happened to be Alex S. Just a fun little.
That was more coincidence. Than
Alex,
it was
Alex Smith watching over as a guardian waiter.
Doubt it. Mick, what was your funniest?
So somebody tweeted during the Nebraska Northwestern game on Saturday, hashtag Nebraska football, gonna be playing in the @Big Sky conference soon. The official account, Big Sky Conference, subtweeted it and said, "Nah, we good." So you got the Big Sky Conference clowning on Nebraska as well.
Not good. Not good, Scott Frost. What was your funniest, Beards?
The Onion headline, Chet Holmgren assures fans he'll be back and perfectly healthy for 9 games next year.
That's pretty good.
If only Corey were here.
That's my saddest of the weekend.
He would be cussing if Corey were here because he didn't want Chet Holmgren anyway.
He didn't want him to begin with.
My funniest was, honestly, last night, Josh Allen's number 13. I mean, when Josh Allen NFL ranked number 13, I'm shook.
Even though,
they announced number 13.
That should have been a defensive player for the Bills, number 13.
I know, but it's just Josh Allen cannot escape the number 13, and it is so brilliant. That was my funniest from the weekend. Best, we start with you, Mick.
The best for me, Saturday night I was co-emceeing. It was too big of an event to have just one. The Imagine Forever Ranch Gala, whatever. It was awesome. It's a great place if you love dogs, and everybody loves dogs. So they take only senior dogs, 6 years and older, and I visited. It's near where I live. It's 4 acres. These dogs, like 2 or 3 of them, stay in like their own man cave. It's their own living room. They have sectionals in there. Awesome. They have all these They have like a 70-inch TV in there.
Good for them.
And the backyard is huge. They go play out there. And at the time, I think they had 7 dogs. They don't get too many more. And you can adopt them. You can foster them. You can just go volunteer and play with them. It's awesome. And so it was a really cool event. Raised a lot of money. They raised a lot of money because everybody loves dogs. And nobody's going to turn them down.
ImagineForeverRanch.org. That is right. F-U-R ever.
For sure.
Forever. So ImagineForeverRanch.org. If you want to go check out more from them, F-U-R-E-V-E-R.
For sure.
That's good stuff. You're a man of the people, Mick. You know what?
And dogs.
You're a man of the dogs.
My best from the weekend was the fact that I was on vacation all weekend. Birthday weekend.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Beards.
I went with my family and then my wife's family, and we just hung out all weekend, basically. Had a good time.
Both the in-laws were together, and it was all like, oh, that's
it was a good
cool.
time.
Good
Now,
for you guys.
Like, we had my aunt and uncle's place that we stayed at, like me and my family stayed at, and then her side has like a little timeshare that they'll use. So, like, we were able to, we weren't all together all the time, but it was still had a good time.
You and Rebecca have to like split sides, like you back in old family trip days, like stay in separate houses.
You didn't have to do
good.
that.
We were good.
We're married now. It's okay. Right. My best from the weekend is, did you guys see the video that went viral from Friday Night Football? It was actually a kid who's committed to play football at Kentucky, so he's going to have a lot of losses to Missouri in his career. So he's running down the sideline, running back. He gets to the 5-yard line, and he hands the ball to the offensive lineman.
The offensive lineman is far downfield. Should we have flagged that play?
It was running. It was.
Well, it was? I thought it was a receiver.
Pass. Yeah,
yes.
a pass. Well, he was.
Maybe he caught at the line of scrimmage. I don't know.
He ran pretty far to the offensive lineman, but that was awesome. He hands him the football, and it was like the biggest thing the offensive lineman ever did. He scores. He's running with the ball in the air, and starts to sprint down the sideline after he scores a touchdown.
How is your own offensive lineman catching up to the receiver and no defensive players?
It was that well blocked.
Okay,
that's why he got the football.
My takeaway was that he was moving.
Yes.
He was hustling. Maybe he knew there was a chance. Hey, you catch up.
Ball. So we got a
thick six.
A thick six. That's right.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting thick six, though. Go ahead.
That's good.
Your best.
My best of the weekend is the video game. It's called Cult of the Lamb. This might sound like a shot clock review. It might return as a shot clock review.
Can't
but
wait.
if you are enticed by, if you like the video game Hades, which is stupendous, but you wish that it would have been more like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, like Spiritfarer vibes in the intermediate period.
Heard of all of those.
It is fantastic. Do you know who I texted about with it last night?
Nerd.
We have some very similar video game Switch catalogs on.
Brian Doyle Murphy.
Craig Stout.
Murray.
Damn. That's the famous part of his name is Murray, Jason.
I know.
Why did you make him Murphy?
I have no idea.
Craig Stout and I. When do we have Craig on next? Beard, can we lock Jason out for the first 5 minutes of our next Craig Stout segment?
I think Craig is this Thursday.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah.
You just leave the segment 5 minutes early, go get your Uncrustable out of the freezer or whatever,
Right.
and Craig and I can really dig in.
Because 2 weeks ago was Kent, right before the
And that was last week, you're
the
right.
soccer game. when I ruined it for us and I took a goal away from what would have been Kent scoring a goal that would have helped us win, but I messed it up.
Maybe we just give.
And then last week was Matt Lane.
Maybe we give Craig a shot clock within the segment to talk about how good Cult of the Lamb is.
Oh, cool, good. Can't wait for that.
I
one.
know you sound really excited.
Or we don't.
We already do.
Oh,
Don't even
I'm
talk
not in
about
on
it.
Thursdays. Okay.
Yeah, I know you're not. You won't be around. That's all right. That's okay.
You're good.
That's fine.
You're good. All right, we'll take a timeout and we will wrap up the show coming up next.
My cult doesn't want you guys anywhere.
Okay.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I had a buddy that said stuff wrong all the time, and it was like a daily thing.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I wrap things up here on this Monday edition of the show. You had the big fantasy football auction draft over the weekend.
How'd you do?
I did fine. I mean,
I don't think I would understand all the rules.
It was all good. It was a keeper league, so I have pretty decent keepers to bring over. So I had a decent start from that.
Who's your quarterback?
Jalen Hurts.
Heard of him?
Yeah, so he's
Boomer Sooner,
very cheap
That'll be
from
great.
having him for the last couple of years.
Who's your RBs?
Well, I had Javonte Williams already, so he was a keeper. My receivers are Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, keepers. So you build over the years. Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a penalty for? We're gonna let you get through this really smoothly. Is there like a cost for your keepers? Do you
Yeah,
like
it's an
forfeit a
auction.
certain amount?
No, it's an auction.
Is
so
it flat for any player?
Their budget. No, you got to auction. You got to bid on them, and so you outbid others for them. And so last year I bid $20 on Jamar Chase, and people didn't outbid me. So I'm like, thanks.
So you get to keep him at that number.
24. You
up by
keep
$4.
increasing the $4.
Okay, or a percentage. Okay.
I had Tyreek Hill on my practice squad, which is $0 his rookie year. Took a chance and said, I'll take Tyreek Hill.
You've had him the whole time.
So I've had him the entire time on my team.
That worked out?
So what I found out, not even find out, it's obvious, but I was still surprised even with the obvious nature of the homerism. So like a guy like A.J. Dillon for the Packers, who had almost 900 yards rushing and like 8 touchdowns last year, even though he's with Aaron Jones, went for like $16. Isaiah Pacheco was $14 yesterday.
Wow.
I bet you. Not even. Is he drafted in other cities?
No.
Like, honestly, went for $14.
Wow. Pistachio.
Surf in next.